All right, welcome to the 100th episode of Living Free with RP. I'm your host, Tubiak Maniac, and here we have a very special class of guests. And the reason why they're all here has everything to do with this podcast. So guys, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but one at a time. Let's try to introduce ourselves, and give me one thing about the podcast that like what it meant to you, what it meant to you, or what it means to you now. So I'm just gonna call you guys out. So Vinny, starting with you, introduce yourself, and what's the podcast mean to you?
Well, my name's Vinny. I don't know. Are we throwing out Instagram tags here?
It's all part of your story, man. It's all part of
the.
What got you here?
Yeah, Instagram tag Vinny See No Evil. Yeah, I mean, what the podcast meant to me was it was kind of like my stepping of telling people about my RP because it was hidden for so long. So the podcast was basically me, my introduction, I guess you could say, the RP me to the world.
You're coming out.
Yeah. I don't like but yeah, no, just that's what the Mike Your podcast has done for me.
Yeah, you jumped right in. Like once you kind of ripped that Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
You were I remember you were just it was like RP, here I am. And that
was it. Hidden for too long.
Yeah, so that's wild. So welcome to the podcast again. And let's see. I'm gonna call out the next random person. B Fox. Let's do tell us about you. And what's the podcast mean to you?
So the RP show podcast has meant to me that every week or so I get to meet somebody else in the RP family. And getting to meet you in person, Michael, on more than one occasion has actually made it personal for me. So I get to cheer people on a regular basis as we all we are literally going blind together. So it's really awesome to have a community. It's been awesome to watch it grow, and I've really enjoyed being part of it. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I'd also like to point out that I've met every single one of these people here. These awesome guys, like we've all met in person. They've either pushed me, inspired me to actually go see them over in England. Shout out Steve. And so I've gained so much and learned so much from every single one of these people that are here right now. So I just wanted to really quickly point that out and see why they're sitting here with us. Next up, the man who cheered me on at the New York City Marathon, ran down because he didn't realize how fast I was going to be going.
You were way too fast.
Lance, introduce yourself. Well, even though I say, Lance, introduce yourself. And what's the podcast mean to you?
Yo, what's up? I'm Lance Johnson, and Living Free with RP is essentially my intro to you, Mike. And it was when I was newer to the RP Facebook group, and you posted, you were like, anybody want to come on? And I was like, I'd like to. And then I think it took a while for it to get like scheduled, but it was just my intro, basically almost like what Vinny said. It was kind of my intro to the RP Facebook group. I had already kind of started my own podcast at that point, but I wasn't really that involved with that many other people with RP. So it was just my intro to you was basically my intro to, like you said, a lot of the people here. So, which is very valuable to have people show by example, how to live and thrive with RP. So,
Absolutely. Because I remember, like myself, you had a lot in common with, me, with, having a mom who had RP, and just like Vinny's, mom also has RP. So it was like anytime someone comes on like that, it just, click automatically. Just
Yeah, I
like
think you
Steve's like
said.
my brother. So
I think you even said you're like you remind me of a younger version of yourself or
yeah,
something like
a
that. I
lot of
think
the
you said
things that you
that.
were going through, yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah, it was very reminiscent. So which just makes those are great podcasts to me. I mean, not that any of the other ones are not as good, but sometimes when you get somebody who just you connect, it
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
makes before you know it, you're just like, oh, we're already been chatting for like an hour, or like that was awesome. So we
Yeah,
had some
definitely.
good talks. And obviously for those who don't know, like we've gone on, Steve and I to be on, Lance's podcast, the See Through Pod, and
Mhm.
multiple times,
Mike, you got the
multiple
record for
times.
most appearances.
That's right. So that's no, but that's I think what's great about that, it shows that like not only are we we're all good friends, but we show that we support each other, and that's how we should be doing in the RP realm. We should all be just trying to support one another, and we don't see that a lot, but I know it was great. Anytime you always wanted to have us on, we were always happy to do it.
Definitely.
So Eric, another way back way back man on the podcast. So introduce yourself, man, and
Yeah.
tell
Yeah.
us
Hey,
tell
everyone.
everyone about your cool couch. No.
Yeah. Yeah. That we can't see
Great
right
couch.
now. Yeah.
I know you can't see the
Um,
couch, but it's there.
yeah.
I know, I'm very upset.
But yeah, I'm Eric Bernardo. I was I think I was actually one of your very first guests on your
Yeah,
podcast.
very
And
very
what the podcast has meant to me, a couple different things. I was able to meet everybody on this call, and hang out with most of you in person. And really, Mike, our conversation those years ago was actually the first time that I've actually had a long form conversation with another person with RP. Of course, I had connected with people in the big group and messaged with them and stuff, but I never had an hour-long conversation with someone who had it, and it meant something extra special to me, and from a relatability standpoint, and of course it led to where we are now. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. That's a great answer. But yeah, no, I didn't. It's funny. I didn't even probably realize that at that time. Like sometimes I don't realize even in that moment, what it could mean. Like I know what it means to me to have these people on the podcast, but it sometimes I don't realize actually how big it is for some of the people to come on and share their story. Because for some, not everyone's like me, or not everyone's like Steve, or Vinny and people like that. Like everyone's different, and it's like it could be a really big deal for them to actually decide to come on and kind of open up about it, or and express how they feel, and maybe share those maybe not so good stories that maybe they dealt with over the years. So I appreciate all you guys that taking on, deciding to come on. And obviously we're all here because we were meant to do more. I always believe that there's certain people that I've had on the show, that like we're meant to do more. So we gotta, like Steve, never leaving me alone. Afterwards, I'm telling him, and every time we do the podcast, it was always like early on, it was just, yeah, I'll get, when this comes out, I'll let you know. And that was pretty much it, but nope, Steve was one of those ones, just be like, hey, what's up, bro? What are you doing? I'm working out. Look, it's going okay. What's going on? Just it seemed like every day. So, you go with it, and like kind of like Vinny and stuff like that. Vinny, that's why Vinny's here. It's just we connect and just like, I want to be friends with this dude. I don't want to just I don't want to just be like some guy just, oh, he just have RP, he was on my podcast, and that's it. Like I think just there's certain people we just instantly connect. I mean, geez, Ed is like one of the newest. So Ed, you go next. Since
Right,
you're one of the newest of this group, but you fit right in. And this,
yeah.
I mean, a huge reason why RP Fest happened. We wouldn't even had a place to hold RP Fest if it wasn't for you. So yeah, what's the podcast mean to you?
It's funny because I'm late to it because I never even went on Facebook to look at anything like this, and I don't even remember why I did it. I typed in retinitis disease,
And I think, oh shit, there's support groups out here. I didn't even realize I wasn't expecting anything. And it's probably probably a month into it or whatever, you wrote and asked if anybody wanted to go on a podcast. And I went like, no, I don't really, then I looked at your podcast and there was, different things, the filmmaker and the art, the musician and different things. I go, I wrote to you. I said, well, I'll go on. I said, I have no talent. So,
yeah. I'm just an ordinary guy.
I really have nothing to offer here, but if you want,
I interviewed Superman and Batman and everything. You're like, well, I'm just Robin.
If you want, and you go, I'll interview you for the next season. I said, all right. And it was probably 2 months later or a month or two later. And we had an interview, and it went well. We really, I thought we talked a lot longer than I think you're supposed to go.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't normally have a time limit, but I mean, sometimes you want to cut in and go, let's kind of wrap this up, but when it's going really well, I just let it ride,
Yeah, we kept going, talking about video games, we went through a whole gamut of stuff.
It's okay. Vinny and I talked the whole time about cars. I don't think we ever covered RP. I don't think.
No, I don't think. I think the very beginning was RP. The rest was like everything, cars, video games, everything else. I mean, we just kept going on and on.
Yeah. So
I'm thinking, oh boy, this is running long. Well, he'll probably edit this, because this is.
No, my podcast is completely unedited. That's what I like about it.
And then a month later, I think it was a month later, you guys introduced me to the chat thing and stuff, and I really had not, I didn't know anybody, so I really didn't say much or anything. And then all of a sudden, you were like, hey, we need to find a place to have, we all should meet somewhere. And then I think Vinny was the one that said, well, I looked around, and besides Steve, who, really far away, everybody else, middle of the area would be Beacon, New York. And then I wrote to you, I said, Mike, I live right across the river from Beacon, New York. You might as well have it. You might as well have it here. And then that started that whole thing. And then I was like, and then I remember people asking me, even the doctor that I have to work for, do you know any of these people? I was like, no, I really don't. Just a little bit, but it all worked out. We all met. I wasn't a serial killer. You guys were concerned about it.
You invited us back.
That's right. That's right. Somehow I've gotten crazy twice, and we invited everybody back. But yeah, so what did it mean? It's like, also, and here's what it really means. You want to know what it really means to me? Because of Steve actually really talking about it, and Mike, I actually use my cane now. And I'm a lot older, so I know it's worse. But now I actually bring the cane with me. And I never did that before. Any other time before this podcast, or before any of that stuff, you would never see me with it. My sister wanted me to use that in Disney a couple of years ago before I met you guys. And I was like, she made me bring it and she made me pull it out. And I couldn't wait to throw it back in the suitcase and not use it. So, and it's been totally different now because now I bring it with me to work and everything else.
So cool.
And if you guys can't tell, for those who can't, as no spring chicken, so.
Thanks. Keep it up.
He's been diagnosed a long time.
Actually 15. So yeah, so that would have been, oh shit, like 45 years ago.
We lost B Fox, but he's coming back. Well, thanks for all that, Ed. That was awesome. No, and like I said, the funniest thing about the whole RP Fest is that the entire time we were going, they're all giving me flack because they're like, "How do you know this guy? How do you know this guy's gonna not gonna murder us? Like, how do you know? Yeah, it's we're gonna end up in a basement somewhere. It puts the lotion on its skin.
Experimenting. Which one of you
like, oh, you know what? I'm going blind. I'm gonna rob your guy's eyes, and so I can see longer. I don't know.
We're gonna end up with one big blind centipede.
And Eric came early, so I had to practice first. So Eric was the first one to go.
We felt good because I was like, once I got in the car and realized Eric was still alive, we were like, okay,
right.
Eric's still alive. So it must be safe because he was there all day. Unless he was threatened, you say anything.
You say anything, Eric, you're done.
So it was interesting to learn that, like, you had, like, you telling your side of the story, thinking, wait a minute, these guys, we're a group coming to your house. And how do you know that we're not going to kill you?
Well, you were the one that said it in the before I met you, before you got there. You said it to Vinny you know, hey, if you pulls up in a white van, we better not get in.
Yeah. That's it.
So
Well,
you were thinking the same thing.
no, so it was a lot of trust there. A lot of trust had to go all the way around. And I
Yeah.
have always been I have a vibe about people and I just go with it. So you were somebody
it worked.
I had a vibe, yeah, and it worked really well. So
And it worked.
I mean, it doesn't work all the time, but sometimes if you just feel good, and I was like, hey, I'm putting you in the group, and that was it.
Yeah.
And so, guys, if you're just listening, and also everyone here, we have this messenger group called RP Lads Chat. So we literally, every single one of us here, pretty much talk to each other. I don't know, if like, pretty much throughout the day.
It's every day.
Here. Oh yeah, Vinny over here always tells us what kind of coffee he's drinking.
Yep.
What punk shows he's going to.
Yeah,
Music
yeah.
that Ed has no clue.
I have no clue what that was
what's going on.
Wait, but hang on,
So-
get to Eric. Eric doesn't know either. So
Yeah, Eric doesn't know. I don't
Don't
know
leave me by
sometimes.
myself.
Yeah, I don't know either. And
That's right.
so every single one of us, like, like Steve will update us on his 600th holiday trip or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Every weekend Steve's gone.
So we don't know where he is. Like, yeah, so he'll let us know where he is. So so we chat pretty much routinely. So it's
Right. We know
cool.
we know what's going on in each one of our lives, basically.
Oh yeah, easily. I
know.
can know roughly at least what's going on. Ryan just got a new job. Congrats to Ryan.
Yeah, we knew that.
So I know Lance has kind of been in and out, but he pops in when you tag him. B Fox, we always do B Fox doing great things over there. With the Blind Can Film Festival and all that. So he's I had to add him. I'm surprised we didn't add him sooner, but it was like after getting back, it was just like
Such a busy guy.
I'm glad to be him.
Yes. So
Mike came to Tallahassee and lifted cars above his head, literally.
There you go. Yeah.
The next thing I know, I'm in the lads group. I'm like, hey, Michael Tsugaki picks up a car above his head and puts me in the group. So works out.
There you go.
There you go. There you go.
And look at that really cool hat he's wearing. That's a really sharp looking hat.
I think I just disappeared. Michael, every time you talk about me, I disappear or reappear. I'm just gonna sit real still and quiet.
All right, we're moving along. Let's go on. You know what? Steve, I'm gonna save the best for last. So let's go with
No, I went already. You say the best.
Yeah, it's coming. So Ryan, another I would say a newcomer to our lads chat and stuff like that.
Get the subtitles ready.
Vinny's a big big supporter of you. We all are, actually. So what's
Big
the
supporter.
podcast
He's just
mean to you?
trashed his accent before he's even spoke. I heard what he said. Subtitles.
Subtitles. Get him out! Get him out!
Says Vinny, who's got the strongest accent on the whole call. Even the other Americans can't understand what he's saying.
Oh man.
Yeah. Oh geez. Okay. So Ryan, what does the podcast mean to you?
Yeah, it was one of them things. I feel like obviously my mum and my granddad have both got RP as well, and I've spent the last 30 odd years of my life knowing that we've had RP, and didn't know anybody else other than my grandma or my granddad and my mum that had it. And it's just finding that there's other people around the world and stuff that have got the same condition that from life. So I think it was 2021 was the first time I discovered the RP show and all the other podcasts through that, and it's just opened up the world. It's like I was looking back on watching a program like Heroes on television where they were trying to find all the people that had this mutant gene sort of type thing. It's a very similar thing. You've kind of gone where we found everybody. It's kind of like everyone's all just kind of congregated into one area now. You've just noticed there's other people that are like you as well. And
you fit right in. When I added you to the last chat, you feel like your sense of humor, like everything, like you got my jokes, no problem. Like I was like, I don't know if he's gonna get this, and boom, he comes back with exactly what I was talking about or whatever I was referencing, like some kind of pop culture reference, and it's like, boom, yep. I'm like, all right, Ryan got it. So
his taste
that's just always awesome.
Television, I think. No, the
American. Yeah, so that's why I think is always fascinating that every time someone gets added to our little group, it's just seamless. Yeah, it's just right in, Like there's no like awkwardness. Like, hey, what am I doing here? It's like, no, we just bond, you know. And it's so laid back too that like, I mean, yes, unless you know some of us, you know, like like Steve has to catch up on the 100 messages maybe he might miss throughout the day. Like, all right, I'm gonna sift through that later. Like, or okay, I finally caught up, or I'm not gonna bother catching up because there's just way too much. Give me the highlights.
If you don't have access to your phone for 3 days, you've blown it. There's like 7,000 missed messages. It's just, well, it's in the past.
You're like,
You're
all right,
right.
give me
You're
what's
right. It's
important.
terrible.
What did I miss? Yeah.
Yeah, could somebody just summarize the last 3 days, please? Was Vinny drinking Liquid Death or coffee? Which one was it?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
His fancy water.
My canned water.
I nowadays I cannot go in if anytime I see Liquid Death, I always think of Vinny all the time.
That's it.
Any convenience, every time I go to a convenience store or whatever, and I see happen to just like, oh, Liquid Death, up, Vinny.
Buy a can and try it.
I shouldn't mock him with. I bought him
should.
that coffee.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You bought him coffee, right?
Sorry, Secret
Yep.
Santa.
Secret Santa.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That coffee did not last long in my house.
Not surprised.
It was delicious.
Not surprised there.
Oh yeah, see, guys, we've even done Secret Santa together. Some of us. have.
Yep.
Yeah. So which was kind of funny because like we all kind of like we're trying to figure out. I mean, it was kind of tough to do Secret Santa with like this group, and we already, I think we're figuring out who got who. Like most of us anyway. Like, and some people were surprised.
You absolute bunch of cheating weasels all broke the system.
That's right.
Fine.
Steve, don't hold back. Tell us how you really feel.
Can somebody tell me what Steve just said?
Oh,
No. Just kidding. Steve, just kidding.
Like there's little subtitles underneath that. That was that brings up an interesting point because I remember Steve after RP Fest saying to me that I was the only one that could understand him. That everyone else is like, I guess saying like, what'd you say? Like I had to repeat. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Maybe because I talk to you all the time. Yeah, he said a lot of you were like,
Steve, how much did you have to drink?
understanding him.
I think Steve had too much to drink because I don't remember that.
I think that Michael and Steve are like the bestest of best BFFs of all time and have like heart to heart language. Like that's the whole deal. When Michael was
There you
over in
go.
Tallahassee, he was like, Steve would love this. Like, I'm going to tell Steve about. I'm serious. I'm serious. It was cool.
See?
It was very cool. Yeah.
I think I'm a bro. That's it. When he came in, I'm like, I don't know. I never had, being, the first time meeting Steve in person. I'm like, we chat all the time, obviously, doing the RP show and all that stuff. I don't guess maybe I just got used to his accent. I don't know, but I know he was just like, man, some people were having, a hard time understanding me. I'm like, yeah. Well, you think Vinny would be the worst?
I've got some practice.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Lance over there's got practice.
Yeah.
That one got weird too. Talking about connections. Never, Lance, you and Steve had a mutual friend, and it's the person that does his hair. Or is it your wife's friend? Sorry.
Yeah, my wife.
They had a mutual. Like that.
Small
That
world.
was
Crazy because
Steve's like, what?
I tagged a picture of me, Lance, and Lance's wife out in a restaurant somewhere. And my hairdresser from my hometown, my little town, Warrington in the UK, commented on my picture to say, I know that girl. I did hairdresser training with her back in London or somewhere. And the chances of Warrington's, miles away from London. So the chances of Natalie knowing one person in Warrington and the chances of me going to meet Lance of all the people in Brooklyn is just like mathematically improbable, wasn't it? Sorry, Vinny.
Yeah, it's
it
crazy.
was mathematically improbable.
Yeah. I still remember that chat we had that Wednesday. You're like, you won't believe this.
Yeah.
We have a mutual friend. Like, I'm like, what? Like, that's crazy. Yep. So
Small world.
It just goes to show you though, like it's all about, we're all connected. We're all meant to be together for some reason or another. It's
Yeah, then
it's
you
wild.
throw in the the RP into it too. So that, I mean, that person
Yeah.
now is connected to two people with RP on top of that, on top of being across the ocean.
True,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
and remember this one. How about these ones? We got Ed, who actually knew a guy out of my Facebook who's like a wrestler promoter.
Yeah,
or
wrestler,
whatever.
yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah.
how do you know him? I'm like, oh, because like amateur. I was like, I think I had a friend who just amateur wrestling. That might have been how we became friends on Facebook. So, and you're like, oh, I know him. I'm like, that's so
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah,
completely
how
random.
crazy that was.
And then Vinny.
Yeah.
So
yep.
I'm working. So I have a '68 Mustang that I'm working on, and we've met up a few times with this club last year, and one of the guys I went on a trip with this guy Dan Young, and I found him randomly, and like a club. I'm part of like a couple groups on Facebook, the car shows or whatever, and I was looking for a driver to drive to Roadkill Nights in Michigan. So he was down. So we met up, and he's a really cool guy. So then it turns out Vinny's like, oh, I know who that is. Vinny knew him from like back in the day. So I showed him a picture of like, let's see, with S10s or something like that. He's like, hey, I think I knew who that is. Because you were gonna ask me to ask him if he was gonna sell that truck in the background of the picture. And then it turns out he knew him from like an S10, like a Chevy S10 club or something like that, or whatever.
Yeah. Yep. An old forum back in the day, if you guys remember forums.
Oh yeah. So that just blew my mind. I was like, that's Danny. What'd you call him? Danny Bags?
Danny Bags. Yep, that's what he
That's
went
right,
by.
Danny Bags. And so of course I go back to him and I'm like, Vinny? Like he's like, yeah. Like I'm like, how can you believe that? It's so wild. I'm like, yeah, he's got RP like me, and like, oh, it's a wild world. Well, we saved the best for last, like I said. So Steve, let's go back. What does the podcast mean to you?
Nothing. I've never really been a fan of it. To be honest.
I almost expected this answer.
Yeah.
So it's basically the same every week. And it's driving, going night vision.
I'm going blind. And
well, actually, it was quite interesting for me. Well, I'll introduce myself. So for those that don't know me watching this podcast, I'm Steve Johnson. I'm from the UK, as you might have gathered. And what the podcast means to me, I had never been on a podcast before. So that was my first ever time going on a podcast. And believe it or not, I was actually slightly nervous because I thought, oh, never been on a podcast, going to talk about RP and all this sort of stuff, and not something you talk about very often, is it, with anybody, especially in a permanent setting where it's now going to be on record for like, ever. So it was that side of it. Plus, we were still in lockdown here in the UK. So not only was I not going out speaking to anybody face to face, I'm now doing, podcasts on the other side of the world with some crazy American guy that works out in his tights on Instagram every night. And it's come to mean a great deal to me. I went on there just to, find out what it was like, and then found a best friend for life, to somebody that I now speak to every single week, probably without fail, more or less since that day. So that's been what, 3 years?
Yeah, isn't that weird? Yeah, that's right.
About 3 years, something like that.
Almost, yeah, just a little, yeah.
Mike's now one of my like actual best mates, not just somebody I know online, not just somebody I've spoke to now and again, like a genuine actual best mate. We don't just talk about the RP show, do we, Mike? We talk about all kinds.
Sometimes
we
sometimes we just chat about what's going on.
So sometimes we forget to record the freaking episode.
Yeah. We got work to do, and it's like we're just like just shooting the breeze.
Next week.
It's like, oh, well, it's nice catching up. All right, we'll just do we'll do something next week.
So on a personal level, it meant a lot, to find a friend with RP that's similar to me, and then also, it kind of, I think some of the other guys, so just to echo what they said, it opened up a whole world of people with RP because I went through my RP journey before Facebook was invented, and I'd done all my chain training and all that stuff before, you know, Mark Zuckerberg was probably still popping zits at home by the time I'd done my chain training. Facebook didn't exist. And so I went through that on my own. And, you know, this was my, like, the reason I found you, Mike, a bit like Ed, you know, I didn't really know there was support groups out there. I didn't really know about that. And I just come across it very similar to Ed, and seeing you were looking for people, and I was looking for it. I was looking for the groups. I was looking for something as a way to give back, because I thought, I've done with my RP now. I've been right the way through the change curve, all the boohoos, being sad about it, now getting back out, getting stuck in, embracing it, moving forward. And I thought I need to give back. And you were the vehicle, Mike, and the entry point for me into that world. And then I guess everything that's happened since as a result of going on that podcast, then we started the RP show, you know. Should we start a YouTube channel for blind people? Is that like the worst idea ever? A visual format for people that can't see. And then obviously I always, you know, remember, I think Eric was one of our first proper fans who showed us, you know, real good, genuine encouragement and support right from our very first episode. Eric, I remember you commenting saying, you know, this is great, I hope this works. And Eric just like was one of the first people that made me think, maybe this isn't a waste of time, maybe this is worth doing it, even if we don't get millions of subscribers and we don't get hundreds of views. If there's a handful of guys out there that get some value in it, then maybe this is worth doing. And then, you know, we did the lives, and then Vinny started commenting on stuff, and I was like,
that's right,
Vinny,
that's how we found. That's right.
I'm like, what's that name? Vinny Kayak? Vinny Kayak? Vinny Kayak? Trying to read it, and then
he must. Is he Chinese or Japanese?
Yeah, this guy.
Am I stereotyping him now?
I get that a lot.
And then we got, you know,
I understand him. No, I can't.
Made a group of friends, and now we get to hear, and it's been an education for me because you've all got different RP to me. I think I'm the only one with X linked. I think. Oh no, Eric's waving.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I have X-Link too.
That's right.
Oh,
Vinny has it too. That's right. Vinny's
learning
awesome.
all the time. So yeah, it was interesting, and you know, getting to hear all your stories and all your challenges. So it's been great. It's been a really interesting couple of years, and I've really enjoyed getting to know all you guys and hearing about your, you know, day-to-day challenges. It's been awesome.
Awesome.
Next question.
Nope, it's been a joy. No, yeah. We've loved having you,
Mikey's
Steve.
done, okay?
Yeah.
Stop crying, Mike. Pull yourself together. Come on.
Ah, you're faking it.
No, it's true.
Well, he does that a lot.
I'm the only one here that can read small copy.
That's very true right now. At least for me, I know I can't anymore.
Yeah, it's like it's our big joke in our group is that we're all faking. That was something we picked up from RP Fest. So now that anytime any one of us does something that's you know, not RP, we're fake. We're, you know, clearly faking.
That's a joke. Wait a minute.
I think Lance started that, right? Wasn't that Lance?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had a little too many beers, and
He might have drank a little too many of my beers.
Yeah. By the way, if he really gets going, and for anybody out there, if he gets going, you'll hear a different language almost.
Oh yeah. That Southern really also comes real.
Well,
fire-
yeah,
the
when
fire
that
goes
comes out,
taller,
boy,
too.
you're like, who is this guy? I don't know who this guy is.
Yeah, like the Lance that you know on the See-Through podcast.
Not the
is
same
not
guy.
The Lance that is not the same guy you get in person.
He has an alter ego. Yeah.
That's right. Watch it, Eric. We're gonna bring out your alter ego.
Y'all fake.
We need that Instagram account, even if you do a full disguise, so no one knows.
Yes.
Just do it.
We still want this. We still want this. Almost a
We're
year
still
later.
waiting for that.
Yeah, the world needs it.
The world needs it. It does.
So
Be a good
Lance,
character.
Lance, if you notice that we feed you a little more beers than you're used to, And next at RP Fest, that's
And
probably
it happens
why.
to be 92 cameras pointing at you.
I don't think anyone fed me beers. It's
Hey, here.
I just like drinking beer, you know.
Yeah. But if we're like if we seemed a little bit more forceful about it, you know, yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
done with that one, Lance? You done with that one? You want
Have another.
to get you want to
Yeah.
get you another one?
This year we'll have the wild turkey. How about that?
Yeah, there we go.
You're from the south.
Then I'll
Yeah.
get like real mean and aggressive.
We might not want.
No, I don't. Everyone has like a alcohol affects different like
Oh yeah,
personalities.
Right,
Yeah.
But yeah, beer brings out the one eye, two big balls, you know.
That's right. That's right. I like how everyone who's listening right now has no clue. what that
Yeah,
is.
nope.
But all,
Not yet.
but all of
Not
us
yet.
Just use your
Not
imagination,
yet.
everyone. Picture
There you go.
a person, a guy
Or
wearing
don't.
eye
Do yourself a
patch.
favor and don't.
Or don't.
in picture someone with two big balls
That's
and the ego that comes with it. And just picture that visually right now, everyone.
But not when you're taking Blue Chew, right, Lance? Yeah.
Oh no, you gotta
Don't
watch
take
out,
that.
fellas.
Don't take that. Don't take that. Don't take the Blue Chew.
Unless it's worth it.
That episode was still funny because that would always pop up. I mean, no pun intended. I mean pun intended.
Oh,
That every
that was
time I go on
bad.
Instagram, that would be like it would be the first thing that came was there, and it was like guys.
That was for a good
Pills
couple
are
of weeks as
killing
well.
your
We kept
vision.
showing that, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, you gotta turn it down, turn the volume down on your phone because like boner pills are killing your vision, guys.
Yeah.
I remember Steve saying the same thing. He's like, every time I go on there, like that.
I think I was in work and I just see, oh, it's Lance. So I thought, I'll click that. That's normally safe viewing. And I clicked on it. If you actually watch that video, it actually starts with Lance just pretty much, he doesn't say hi, guys. He actually starts off by saying, boner pills. And then he gets into it.
Yeah, I think I said, yeah, boner pills are messing with our
Yeah,
vision,
that's what
fellas.
it is, guys.
Yeah.
And that's what blasted out of my phone, like in the office. And Anna's like, I think I was with Anna. She's like, "What are you watching?" Like Lance has done a video on phone. I was watching for a friend.
Well, it's very educational. Cancel my order. Cancel my order.
Open the order now.
Yeah, then Mike's stitch of that video had me dying.
Yeah, that was good. That was awesome.
There you go, guys.
Well, after seeing it a billion times, I was like, I gotta do something with this. It's just a missed opportunity if I don't.
I need to make more of that content.
That was good.
Yeah.
Good. All right. So at this point, now I'm gonna flip the script, and I want you guys all. I'm gonna call you one at a time and ask me a question because I don't get the questions a lot. So I figured this time it'll give you guys an opportunity to ask me a question. So let's kick it off again, Vinny.
Oh, come on.
I gave you time to think about it.
It's just like at school. Benny's going, it's just like school. They're calling me first.
Vinny.
I don't mind going
Racing.
first. I've got my question lined up.
Oh, you know what?
Oh,
Steve is
oh,
prepared. You know
yeah.
what? Steve's volunteering. All right.
We'll
all right,
we'll
all right,
circle
all right.
back. We'll circle back.
Oh, okay, we'll circle
Go
back.
back round here.
Benny, start researching now.
Yeah.
All right.
Having a cup of
Dead
coffee.
hard, Vinny. Yeah. My question, Mike. You've interviewed around about 100 people now with RP. So my question to you is, I would like to know, what are the top 3 things you have personally learned and gained from those 100 interviews?
3 things I gained.
Yeah, what have you learned? How has it
Like
how has
affected
it
me, you're
grown-
asking, right?
How has it
grown
changed
me?
How has it grown?
Oh yeah,
you?
I would say number 1 is, or at least one of them would be, I have zero, almost zero fear now of going blind, because I've had people on who were way worse vision than myself, and they're doing way more things than me, and they're just, as FURP, they're conquering things. So it gave me a sense of just, everything's okay, like I'll be all right. And if I ever have a day where maybe I'm a little worried, I can always turn to the podcast myself and just realize, and just I'll realize that, Mike, it's all right. So a sense of security, sense of just like, I'm good, confidence, like all that. Like, I'm good. Like blindness, it is, I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't think it sucked, but it's just something you deal with. And then I'm good with that now. 2, I am in a way more fortunate than a lot of people. I'm going off of that. I'm talking to other
That's a nice
people
one.
also. I've learned, not that I wasn't, I just thought, I'm going blind. I don't know what everyone else is seeing. I don't know what everyone else is experiencing and all this stuff. So going into it, and after a while, you're just like, wow, like I'm lucky enough to have this really good acuity, even though, like, yes, I'll walk into all the stuff like all the stuff that you guys would walk into and have all the same kind of troubles. Not a lot of people have really good, clear vision like that. So I've grown to really, I'm a lucky guy for that. So I soak it up. So that was another thing, realizing that, oh wow, I was like, okay, I really can't complain, like, people have a lot worse. I'm lucky enough to be able to do this, or seeing colors, and or at least, I mean, yeah, I struggle with some colors, but not really that many. So yeah, just definitely makes you really humble. It humbles you. That's what I'm looking for. I'm more humble, And 3, it would probably come from you. You were the first person to really challenge me and push me outside my comfort zone.
That's not like me, is it?
Yeah, that's not like, that doesn't sound like you, does it? So you were the first person, for those who had not listened to that episode. He was the first one to go. I was like, I've been very, a lot of anxiety, traveling, by myself. So I had never flown by myself, none of that. And he basically said, hey, I'm challenging you to come to England. You have a place to stay. You're all set there. All you have to do is fly here. And I was like, all right. So yeah, it took a little bit of time for that to really for that to work. But finally, like last year, I kind of got tired of relying on people to go to, like, I always wanted to go to a football game. I like Cincinnati Bengals, and I always wanted to go to a game, and I really wanted to go technically in their home, the home field, not seen here on the East Coast. So after a friend was like, hey, let's go to a game, and we were going through all these dates and nothing was working, I was like, you know what? Why am I doing this? I was like, I could just go by myself. And I would have probably never had that notion or that thought if not for, like, you, Steve, and just the podcast and everything, because once again, I was like, man, people are doing this. Like, people are traveling by themselves. People are, it's okay. If they could do it, I should be able.
It's possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's possible. So I was like, you know what? This ticket's cheap for Monday Night Football. I'll buy the ticket. And this is where it comes into where I say it's kind of like my fashion of things they're doing, which is, and Steve loves about me apparently, is, fire, aim, ready. So just buy the ticket, buy the plane, just buy the stuff. Now I'm going. Like, I already bought it. I bought the ticket, bought the plane ticket, bought my game. Everything else, I'll just have to figure out. How am I going to get there? And, all this stuff. I'll worry about that later. Right now we got to make it real. So I made it real, and then after that experience, and it was amazing. And I did, like, amazingly well. And I loved it. So that's just kind of propelled, going from there. Then January I was out in Houston. I flew out to Houston by myself. And then April I was out 2 trips. I was out with Mr. B Fox over here going to Florida, Tallahassee, Florida, for the Blind Can Film Festival. Then I went to England to go run the London Marathon and go actually finally make good on that challenge and actually be over hanging out with Traps, as I call her. That's that's his wife, Anna. I call her Traps, though. You have to see her to know the reference. But yeah, so I was finally there and I was hanging out in England. So I would have never, if not for the podcast, I would have never experienced those things by now. Like, if I think, I don't know. I mean, I can't say I don't know if I'd, be where I am right now without the podcast, because it's just like I said, I feel like I've learned a lot, from doing it, and just ideas and things, like other things that I've never even thought about, and it's been awesome to flip that and share that. Like, a big reason why Steve and I decided to start the RP show was because we're like, we have all this information and we have this stuff that we probably do every day that we don't even realize that probably nobody knows about. Like, it's fascinating even now that how many people don't know that, like, use your camera at night. Like, but to me, that's just, I don't know, second nature to be like, to do that. But sometimes there's just a lot of people that don't think to go, oh, I can use my phone because the sensors, and stuff like that. So I don't know. So it's just wild. I think I've learned, like, I'll definitely more than I anticipated. And definitely, like I said, no, would have never, I don't think I would have flown by myself anyway, like that. And then once you do it, though, that's it. Once you rip that Band-Aid off, it's kind of like Vinny, once you jump into that world, man, it's it 110, and and that's awesome. That's why. So those are my things, man. That really,
Good answer. Great answer.
Thank you. So, all right, who's ready? Just raise your hand. No.
I'm ready. Eric's
ready. Eric's ready. Eric.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and I had to give you earlier. I had to give you during your answer. I had to give you the obligatory thumbs down for the Cincinnati Bengals because
that's right. Of course,
see the chip. There's a chip in the back of my head that gets zapped by the Rooney family.
Eric Bernardo has been removed from the chat.
But,
All right. Nice knowing you, Eric. See you later. You on your couch or out of here. You're out.
Yeah, my question. My question is, what's your test stack? No, I'm just kidding.
No,
Your testosterone stack.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, because those shoulders, man, that can't be natural. But
Uh-oh.
yeah,
We're gonna have to get tested.
yeah. But no, so my question is, that was phenomenal, by the way, Steve. Your question, Mike, your answers, that was wonderful.
No, thank you.
I think a lot of people were going to get a lot out of that. But my question is really just kind of looking forward. Where do you see the podcast in the next 2 years?
In 2 years?
Yeah.
Like I said, the ultimate goal is to start actually merging the podcast with the RP show. So making it the RP show presents, Living Free with RP or whatever, this, because we find that either a lot of people know about the podcast but have no clue what the RP show is, or vice versa. They know the RP show, but they don't know there's a podcast. So I was like, I remember I talked to Steve and been like, maybe we should, because we've already been kind of like mentioning the podcast on the show over the years. So, and also doing both things at the same time is it kind of gets tough. Like, because I put more time really into the RP show, because we don't just do that. We also do t-shirts and other things, So the reason why I started becoming a 10 episode thing was because of that, because between having to do the RP show and podcast, and then having to schedule people, and Lance knows all about how complicated that can get. So I was like, let me make this simple. We'll just do 10 episodes. So yeah, ultimately I'd like to have it just be kind of a as part of the world of the RP show. So in 2 years, that's what I'd like to see both help each other out, essentially, because the podcast probably has a little more traction really than the RP show. So, but the RP show has even though, and like I said, Steve and I have talked about this, saying how even though our subscribers are small, our impact is very big. So I think if we merged both and had it, more one big world, I think they would both maybe hopefully explode, or get bigger and reach more people. So yeah, that's what I'd like in 2 years, to still be trucking along, getting to talk to God, maybe we'll have a 200th episode, and we'll have this whole screen filled with more friends, like more people, that would be cool. So yeah, 2 years probably, I can see that.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Keep up the good work, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mike, Steve, keep it up.
All right, who's raising their hand next?
I'll go.
All right, Lance, what's up?
So you're talking about scheduling and all that. It's podcasting's a lot of work. You've done 100 episodes, which is incredible. Now that's like a goal I'm stoked to hopefully hit one day. But what I was going to ask is, what advice would you give someone who is interested in starting a podcast of their own?
That's a good one.
Great
I like
question.
this.
Yeah.
It's a good, it's awesome that I can actually tell you. I've actually had people reach out to me, because of that. We got that same question. Hey, so and so. I mean, they have, they had RP and they were thinking about starting, a podcast, and I had a conversation with a couple of people, and I think some of the advice I could give, I would say, don't worry about your setup, because I know a lot of people are like, I gotta get this, expensive microphone, and I gotta get, I have to be this and this. It's like, no, like when I started, I'm still running on the same computer. It's like a 2011 iMac. I still have the same microphone. This is like a $50 microphone on Amazon. And it just sounds good. Yeah, could I get a better microphone? Absolutely. And I mean, and that could be something that I could tackle down the road. But a lesson I learned from a good friend of mine, Drew Koslick, who he does this. He actually was the one actually used to edit my audio before I switched over to Zoom. I was doing what was I using? What's the other service? Not Zoom. Guys, fill in. What's the other what's the other thing you can call people?
Teams?
Teams or something? Or?
Skype.
Oh,
Skype. Thank you.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
Throwback. Okay.
I was
yeah.
using Skype. So when I started the podcast, I was using Skype, and then I would use an app that would actually record the Skype conversation, and then I would send those files, and my friend over in Google Drive, and my friend would edit my audio for me, and then I would repiece things. He'd clean it up, and then I would repiece it together and all that stuff. So the editing was a lot more complicated back then. But yeah, so I just really simple setup. I just did that, but people tend to, I think, worry about it. But he always said to me, the best microphone you have is the one you have. So if you can't afford to get some, Yeti or whatever, some crazy expensive microphone, don't worry about it. So just use whatever you have. And the other big piece of advice, and especially from me, because I know I have a tendency, and so talk fast. And this is something I've worked on over years, because when I get excited, I talk fast. It just happens. But a lot of my friends, they've gotten used to me.
See, I
but
talk
the podcast,
slow.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, it works for you. You got to speed it up. No, but podcasting has taught me how to speak clear, slow down. So a lot of people might be nervous about starting a podcast because they're like, oh, I don't like talking, or I'm not that, I don't think I'm that good on the microphone or whatever. I wasn't either. My wife said from episode 1 to 2 was like a dramatic improvement. So you just got to go out and just start. Don't worry about everything being correct. When it all comes down to it, just go out, whatever you want to do, and just do it. I said the same thing to a guy. I actually randomly met a guy when I was at that trip, when I did that solo trip to go see the Bengals. I had to sleep at the airport for like 12 hours or whatever it was. And a guy was there, and he was talking about how, he was wanting to start a podcast doing, I think about the JFK assassination. And I gave him the same advice, he asked me the same question as you did right there in the airport. It was just, and I told him just don't keep thinking about it. Just do it. And then everything will just slowly get better, and, you'll get better. And it just, I don't know, you'll just grow. I feel like a lot different than, I used to always get nervous going into doing the episodes and stuff like that, because, even though I have a set, I got the questions in front of me and all that, but I'm very concerned about, I think, sometimes what other people think of me and how it comes across. And I don't want people to think, it's lazy, or if I didn't, or maybe I'm uninterested or something. I don't know. I just have all these thoughts in my head that I just want to make sure, that this person is getting their time to shine. And I'm not talking too much about myself. That's the other problem, because I don't want to, and you can't help but do it sometimes because you're talking to somebody else
Having a
RP,
conversation. Yeah.
so you just, and that's what I gave up because I got one person actually did say that to me once. One person that I had on had messaged me and said, "Oh, Mike, I've been listening to your podcast, and it seems like you've been, you talk also a lot about yourself still, or something." I was like, and I told him, I said, I know, I understand, I don't mean to, but my podcast is more like two people meeting in a bar who have RP. So yes, I'm trying. It's definitely I want the person to come on to share their journey, but it's like if I can put in something like, just because the audience is the audience, I don't do every episode. I pretend that the audience is never, I'm not pretending there's an audience there. Like I'm just pretending it's just me and the other person. So yeah, I'm going to repeat myself. You're going to hear sometimes you'll hear the same story over and over again because that person who I'm talking to right now never heard that. And we're in a bar and we're talking about RP and like, that's it. So I'm not going to, I would try not to do these things, but at the same time, I felt like that's actually what makes my podcast, my podcast is that we're just chill. We're just having a conversation. It's not, it's not so structured and, it's just two people hanging out as it should.
Sweet.
There's a little podcast called the Joe Rogan Experience that's structured a lot like that too. If anybody's heard.
Yeah, although that guy's gonna make it.
He is. Joe, if you're listening, but listen to Mike's advice right now. You'll go places.
Keep it going. Keep it going. You're doing something really good. But you're actually
Every day.
You're right, Eric. You're right. That's exactly how I model my podcast is more that style. More just we're just two people having a conversation, and yeah, I bet you Joe probably brings up like the same thing over and over again sometimes with different guests because he doesn't know that if they have or have not seen the previous episode or one of the episodes when he mentioned it. Like, who has the time to know that research? Like they don't.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you say RP in the same way he talks about elk meat and doing DMT.
Just gonna that's just how it's gonna happen. So no, yeah, I like that. That's a good reference. But keep it up, Joe.
Hey,
We're here for it. We're here for you.
We're here for you,
man.
And
then
You want some advice? Mike's here for you.
I'm gonna throw in a quick bonus question. I'm gonna throw in a quick bonus question.
Oh, bonus!
Based on what we just
Bonus
talked
question.
about, was how many times you think you've said retinitis pigmentosa?
Oh Jesus! that are RP or just the actual full retinitis pigmentosa?
I'll say RP.
Okay. Jeez. Well, if you think 100 conversations or so.
Oh yeah.
I would say, and you got to think in each episode, I've probably said RP at least 20 times or more. So yeah, I don't know. I probably said, I'm going to say it's got to be like well over 2,000 times. It's somewhere around there. That's a good question though. Yeah. I think, and as we all know, just saying that we've probably said it. So it just flows. It just automatically we probably don't even think about it anymore. Just, RP. Yeah.
RP for short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
RP,
Exactly.
yeah, exactly. RP for short.
RP for short. Lance.
You can find the shirt, see through pod.
There you go.
Little
plug,
shout
quick
out.
plug.
Quick plug. All right, who's raising their hand next?
I got a question for Michael. It's Ben.
P Fox.
Brother, one of my favorite things about just being friends with you in person now is I've got to know how you do things as a father and talking to you about what if your child has RP. And then also, here's my number one question about the podcast and you being a father. Does your kid watch your podcast and you filter what you say when you talk about some of the sad stuff because of that? So what is it like being an RP father and an RP podcaster with a child that may watch it?
Ooh, great question.
So what's it like being a father with RP? That's question one. All right. Which I think, geez, like I said, I mean, I know I answered like this question at the Blind Can Film Festival. So I got to reiterate what I said a little bit there. And that was definitely listen to your wife because you may think your vision's pretty good. but it's not. So, and by that I mean there's gonna come situations when you have a child and you're changing their diaper on the table, and your wife may say to you, "Get closer, because if you don't, like, he's really fast. You don't realize how fast he can just flip over and fall off the changing table." I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I'm fine, and I'm sure I thought my vision was probably better than it was then. So what is that? She walks away. 2 seconds later, yep, he flipped and he fell off the table, and I caught him with one arm. So, and then she comes back as I'm holding him with one arm. And she goes, "See, I told you." So yes, one thing very important, and we all, us as guys, we all have pride and all that stuff, and it's tough in egos and stuff like that. But when it comes to the safety of your child, sometimes you have to maybe admit that maybe you should listen to your wife, and and even though maybe if you do trust your vision, understand that your vision, what you see, is not always what you see. So yeah, take extra care of that. Definitely, that's definitely one thing about having been an RP, a dad with RP. I'm a little different also because my son got to experience being raised also babysat by my mom who had RP, so he's really been he knows all about to him that's normal, like vision loss and all that's just normal. Like dad has RP, grandma's RP, Nana has RP, it's okay, they're both fine. So it doesn't even really phase him. And my job as a dad, I feel, it's the same thing as my mom did for me, and that is to make him realize that if he ends up getting RP, it's not a big deal. So whether my mom, I don't think she even knew she was doing that, but by being a mom and just washing dishes, cooking and cleaning, and doing all the things that a normal mom does growing up, taking me out, we went shopping together, and I would help her with the calculator and things like that. So doing just normal things and making it just being, to me, badass, no fear, and just living life. That's my job. My job is to do the same thing now, so that now when Evan gets it, Evan goes, "Wow, okay, so I got RP, dad's got it, and dad's he travels by himself, he does all these crazy races, and he does all this stuff, so what do I got to worry about?" And then it's actually come true, because he actually I think my wife asked him, "Who is the cooler parent?" And he said, "Well, dad's the cooler parent." And she's like, "Why?" He's like, dad's going blind, and he goes to all these races and does all these things. He's way cooler. Yeah. Like, all right. So, but I'm not funnier, but I'm not the funniest. She's funnier. So, which is fine. I could take that. But yeah, so that meant a lot to me. He hasn't told me that, but I have actually talked to RP with him, and hey, you're not out of the water, because it's a 50-50 shot. You might get it. And he's like, oh, he's fine. It doesn't phase him. So that makes me proud. So that was my job. That's a big thing, I think, when you're a dad with RP, your job is just to make them not worry. You don't want to shield them from it. You don't want to be like, I'm not gonna be like, granted, I know I'll be just like, I say this now, and I know I'll be just like my mom, because my mom was crying when I got diagnosed. My mom's sitting there crying. I was like, okay, can I go now? All right, cool. I already knew, kind of had an inkling the past probably year, that I probably had a feeling I had it. I just, it's like what it is, So that's probably what's going to happen. I'm going to be like, damn it, all pissed off, go through probably a moment, and then just be like, Mike, you're fine. I'll have to talk myself out of it. And, but no, I'm not worried about them. But you always will, though. I mean, anybody, who's a parent, Vinny knows what's what it's gonna feel like, and he knows what we don't stop thinking about it. We hope they don't get it,
Yeah.
but at the same
I'm a
time,
little, I'm a
you
little
know.
more worried too because mine's X-linked and I have a
Yeah,
daughter.
that's right. So, but you know what though? At the same time, like we're gonna worry, right? But
Mhm.
at the same time, look at you, same thing. What do you do?
Well, if yours is
You're
X-linked,
going.
you can't pass it on to a daughter, can you?
No, I think she's got more of a chance.
No, because you don't pass on an X chromosome, do you? Unless you have got a uterus that you're not telling us about.
Oh,
That's in a later episode.
No, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just going by what I've read online. I'm no gene professional. I have no idea.
Yeah, because I know if you get, I only know mine's 50-50 because that's when I got my genes tested, when I got mine tested, that's what it said. I said I had a 50-50 shot passing it on. So should get you
I'm
guys
not
look into
100%.
that.
I'm not 100% on it. You'd have to check it, but I
I
don't
always
think
think as well. You hear different things online. I think when we
Right.
were in London, Steve, like what you were saying from there, I think I'd read before with the X gene, it kind of went from, it can go from like the male to the female to the female to the male. It was kind of like it sort of dropped down in a different stage rather than just from the male to the
Yeah,
through the. I
'cause
don't know.
when you
The
have
X link does make sense, but yeah.
Yeah, because when you have a kid, you get the X from your
Yeah.
mother and the Y from your father, don't you? I
Hmm.
think.
Yeah, right.
We'd have to do. We'd have to.
I'm not a
fact check
doctor.
it.
Yeah,
Might be another
That could be
episode.
completely.
All facts
that could be
here are not
Yeah,
facts.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
please-
We're not sure.
that could be wrong.
we are not professionals.
So B Fox, what was the other question? It was what about being
And what about, do you hold back because your child might watch this podcast when it comes to some of the sad parts of RP, or do you just let loose? And does your child even watch the podcast?
He watches the show. He likes to watch the RP show. So, but he doesn't watch. He hasn't listened to any of my pod. I don't think he has anyway. But no, he's actually been like behind me when I'm recording, like where I am right now. Like, there's a green screen, and then he'll play video games on the other. He's got his gaming computer on the other side of this green screen. So he's been down here when I'm doing episodes. So yeah, and I don't hold back. So like if I'm talking about something or whatever happens, if it gets that emotional way, or if we're talking about something like, that is a little emotional or something, no, totally, it's all out there. So I've tried to not filter myself around him. I try never to treat him with kids' gloves, and I've always treated him a little bit older than what he is. If he deserves that, if he gets that, if he earns that, I'm gonna treat him like, I'm gonna treat him like not like a little kid, little baby or anything. I'm gonna treat him like, he's my bro, but he's my son, but he's also my bro. So we're just normal, just like that. It's the kind of relationship we have. So he's seen me cry, he's seen me everything. So I try not to hide that. So this way he knows like everything is just normal. Like guys cry, and we get angry, and I get angry with him, and then of course Dad apologizes. so he understands that Dad makes mistakes, or maybe I didn't make a mistake on what I told him, but maybe I made a mistake on how I told him. So and that's just part of it. But yeah, no, in terms of RP and podcasting and nope, it's all out there. So if future Evan, everyone wants to listen to it and see, what I said about something or whatever. Like, yeah, like it's, yep. There's I don't hold back. It's like I say, there's, if people want to swear on my podcast, it's like whatever it is. Like there's no censors here. Be your normal self.
Cool.
That's it. So that's what I think. In a nutshell, I can answer both of yours. Basically, just be normal, be yourself. Yeah, just that's it. Yeah, when it comes to being a dad, all this stuff, just be, be you. This way, lead, make a good example. This way, they look and go, I'm all right. I'll be happy I won't be happy if he gets it, but I would be happy if he gets it and looks at me the same way I did to my mom and been like, all right. That'll probably make me happy. Like when he's just like, dude, we're good. And then we can be Kane brothers. So it'd be cool. I'll give him his own little matching cane. So
That's cool.
that works for me. All right. Who's next? What we got left? Say, oh, Vinny's still in. We got Ed, right?
Yep.
And Ryan,
I mean-
don't forget
And
Ryan.
Ryan. Yep, we got 3. So we got, yep, 3 left. All right, guys.
Can I go first then if you're
Yeah,
reflecting, Vinny?
right. Yeah, right.
All right.
Gentlemen,
I
I
got,
got
Reflected.
I got the
Who got
subtitles
100?
out. I got the subtitles out in case I can't understand them.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ryan.
Switching captions on now.
Captions on. Sorry, Ryan.
I was going to ask you a question about sort of the independent sort of style of way you view it for traveling, but I think that was sort of answered on in Steve's sort of question. So I'll thought for another one, obviously seeing what you and Steve accomplished as some people with low vision, like what's next on the FURP bucket list? Where are you going next? What are you doing?
Next, what would I like to do next? Like, cause I travel. So okay, so I've crossed off. Obviously, finally seeing a Bengals game, so that was cool.
Jump out of an airplane.
Yeah, no, yeah. I actually do want to skydive.
Did
Not
you,
yet.
you and
Yeah,
Steve,
I
you
do
and Steve
have
can go
that.
together.
That is on mine. That would be on my. Yeah, that is probably on my bucket list. Yes, that would be to do. Because I'm not shy of doing ridiculous things. I'm trying to
I'll
think.
fly the
what would
plane.
be-
You jump.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
I'm
I think.
not going.
I
with
think
it.
we're high enough. I think.
Or
I
if I'm
think-
flying the plane, maybe we'll have to jump.
Yeah.
Is that a mountain ahead of us? I don't think it
Yeah,
is.
I don't know. We might want to get out of here. See, I'm trying to. Geez, that's a good question. Like, I'm just trying to think of
Yeah.
like RP stuff. Like, what if I? Yeah, like, oh, I think my newest goal, and I know Steve knows, and like a bunch of you guys know. So I've always been on. I went on. I went on disability after leaving my job back in 2015. And I've gotten some awesome years out of with my son and watched him grow and got time that like no dad ever gets because most dads are also working full-time jobs. So after now going on, was it 7? Yeah, I got my June 2016 is when I started collecting. So I've gone on like over 7 years. I think I've decided I wanted to get back into the workforce. So I think that's one of my
That's
bucket
the
list
biggest,
items.
baddest ass FURP thing ever.
that
That is so much braver than jumping out of any shitty plane.
Yeah, thank you. So I thought, and once again, that's all because of you guys, and that was that was another thing that like I remember when talking to Steve was an episode ago and realizing he still worked, and I thought that was crazy, like because I was like, I was like, wow, yeah, you still work. And then his response to me was like, it was funny because it was like, he's like, well, I think it's crazy that you cook and you do all that stuff and you take care of the house. Like, I think that's like amazing. I know. So it made me feel like kind of better, like my position. And, but at the same time, like I said, I was like, I thought it was like badass that he worked. So, so just since doing the podcast,
do you think since we started working together on like a Wednesday and you're having to help me, like when we're editing, and I'm sharing my screen, and you're like, click on the box, click on this. Click on that.
Yeah.
I'm like, Mike's probably sat there thinking, how does this guy work? Like, how does he, when I'm not here telling him what to press, how's
he doing this? Yeah.
So maybe that's lifted the curtain for you, thinking, well, if he can do it, I can definitely do it because my eyesight's way better than Steve's.
So definitely, I was like, I can get back into this. I mean, I know I got a little bit of I got offered a job last year and it didn't work out. More like in my field, like more something like suited to what I do. And so that I think that kind of got me curious because I was like, having to do a resume for the first time in like years. And I mean, I do work part-time. I teach spin class 3 days a week. So I kind of work, but I don't really count. Like to me, I love doing that. Like if it's like I'm working out, I'm getting paid to work out. So that didn't like that.
I would imagine that the percentages must be so low for people that have come out, successfully got on to benefits or disability or whatever, and then gone back into the workforce. There can't be too many people that would have that courage to go back. I think that's very.
And I had to put on my and it was in here once again. We go back to the podcast, and I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity if not for Ed. Because I remember
we're working on it. We're working on it.
So you guys know that I reached out to all you guys in the group, and we were like, hey, looking to work again. At first, I was thinking part-time. Like I was like, hey, remote position, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, like Ed reaches out to me and he's like, hey, can can we talk? Give me a call. I think I have something that like would be good for you. I was like, all right, let's do this. And he gives me we talk probably decent. We actually talked a decent amount of time, and like I'm not a phone person, but I'm an exception because it's Ed. So we chatted. And it was like it was like a Zoom call, but over the phone. So, and he tells me it's like a parts researcher position. I'm like parts research. That's what I do. Like working on cars and stuff like that. So like, that's not.
Yeah, and he's met Jeff already. And he's met Jeff.
Yeah,
we networked because he met Jeff because Jeff was here helping us driving the
Jeff was
UTV
cool.
in last year's RP show.
Car guy and and all that stuff. Yep. Once again, remember it's all about people you meet and things like that. You never know where what's going to happen in your life because of meeting that one person. So I
Back
just
from Lake George. So yeah,
it's amazing. Yeah.
So
So
today,
I applied a month ago,
back.
but I'm almost a month ago. Yeah, but tomorrow will be a month ago.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's that would be that'd be kind of pretty cool. Like it'll be weird and there'll be adjustment. But I think it's all like the podcast, RP's a journey. So this is just part of the journey. And I think I always think about what Steve says. How do you get all these amazing experiences? Like these, always every time I'm doing something, like I get something offered free or whatever happens. Like, so when I went to Houston, I did that free and like all these things. He's like, how did that happen? I'm like, this is it. The podcast, like talking to people, like networking, like, look, I talked to Jeff. Now I have an opportunity to work somewhere. Like sometimes you're networking and you don't even realize you're networking. You're just people think networking is like, I don't know, maybe it's like, I don't know, maybe I have a different idea of what networking, but networking to me is just talking to somebody. Like, and
that is it.
That's it. Just talk, like you're hanging out with somebody and just saying, hey, what's up? How you doing? I'm good.
Never know what comes up.
Oh, wow, you like cars? I like cars too. Like, oh, wow, cool. Like, and that's really all it was. Like talking to Jeff, I saw Jeff had a Dodge Durango like mine. And that's kind of what I started my conversation with him. I was like, "Oh, is that your Hemi RT Durango?" And like, yeah. And then we just got that's it. So it was over. So kind of like Vinny. Once Vinny started talking about cars, I was like, "Yeah, okay, we're good. Yeah, we're off running. We're good." Yeah. So no, like it's that's it. I think the next I think that's one goal. I don't know if I have any like. Oh, you know what? I do have another bucket list, and it's not like a bucket list thing for RP, but it's like a next challenge for myself is to finally get back into riding public transit, because that's still weirdly something I'm still apprehensive about. So I want to get, and even though I rode the public, transit all the time with my mom growing up. So like, I am not unfamiliar with like any of it, because that's how I used to get to work all the time. Like, when I didn't have a car. So it's just, I've been way out of practice now. So that, is it's another thing I want to get back into, familiarizing myself, being able to ride a bus again and stuff like, so not just always rely on Uber or rely on rides and stuff like that. So, and it would make, instead of having to walk, since I walk all the way down, I walk to the track, my local track to go do workouts and stuff, where I can really just go down the hill and just take a bus and it takes me straight to the high school. But stuff like that. So I think those two things would be like the next kind of like, I would say RP things that I really want to get, start tackling.
Awesome answer. Great question, man.
Yeah, great question, man. All right, we got two left, and they're sitting next to each other.
You want to go? You want me to go?
No, it doesn't matter.
Rock, paper, scissors.
No, I'll go just in case.
Thanks, Vinny.
Yeah, because I don't want you to steal my question.
That's right. 'Cause I'll be real.
It took me a long time to think of this one.
He'll be like, what are the odds? Damn it.
Yeah. So I'm going.
All right. Here we go. Watch it. Here we go.
So my both our moms have RP. And my mom doesn't use any kind of technology. She actually doesn't even use a cane. Doesn't get around.
That's right. She's a little more against it. Yeah, she's a little bit more stubborn.
She completely dependent. So in your podcast, I mean, I know I listened to basically every single one of them, but I mean, I don't remember. So was there like a age range that you kind of noticed where technology kind of fell off? Like, are there people like Ed's age that aren't
Yeah,
using
it was tough. Who said that?
that aren't using technology? Did you notice, or like, is there a gap? Do you notice in the age where technology isn't used, or uh,
You mean like having people on that have had on
yeah,
that were
yeah,
older?
yeah, in your podcast, or
Hmm.
because I mean, on the group and on the groups, it kind of seems like there might be like the older generation doesn't really use technology. So I don't know, just in
Yeah,
your
no, okay. No, right
professional,
now,
yeah,
am I professional? Right now, I know, like I said, I can vouch for my mom. I had to get her into the iPhone, and now she loves it.
yep,
Like years ago, I think it was just before. Yeah, I think it was before we got a house. Yeah, so it was like 2019. I remember she got an Android and she hated it, and it didn't do anything. It was very hard for her to learn. So I just finally got like frustrated trying to help her, and basically I was like, "Listen, I'm just gonna get you an iPhone on my plan, and trust me, it's very user friendly. You'll have no problem. You could just use your voice to text me. Da, 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 da. I'll get you all set up." So, boom, she took right to it. And before I know it, I'm getting texted from my mom like every day. So, no problem. Yeah, because my mom usually over the years, she's always emailed me because she went to school and she got, she knows how to use a PC and all that stuff. So having, if I want communication with my mom was either a phone call or email. So in the early goes. And yeah, so now like 2019, it took that long really for my mom like to finally get like a smartphone, and start diving into that world. And that changed her world. I think, yeah. Well, and granted, I always give her flack because she always complains that how hard it is for her to learn, and she'll be like, "This thing's pissing me off," and I go, "Mom, I know you," because she's just like me, and she'll get frustrated, and then next thing you know, she'll know exactly how to use it. And that's exactly what always happens. Mom, this always happens all the time. You get frustrated, and then you end up learning it anyway. She's like, "Yeah, I know." So, but yeah, so no, she's taking that. She's, I still fix her phone all the time now. She comes to my house, and I have to remove apps for her or do things like, so there's some things like it's still tough, I think, for her to do. But she knows how to she can turn off on and off voiceover on her own. Like, she knows how to the shortcut keys and off of that. Like she knows a lot more stuff than even like I usually just shut it off. I shut the voiceover. If I help her with her phone, I just shut it off and then I just do whatever she needs me to change and then change it back. But I know how to use it. I can use voiceover. I just find it like slower for me since I can still, function
right.
sighted. That's why I tell people, no, but I do know how to use voiceover. I've learned because I have my mom. Like I used to know how to use JAWS because I used to always fix JAWS for my mom growing up. Come over her house and reboot her PC or whatever I do. So I've always been I joke with her. I say it's not good when your visually impaired son is still your IT guy for your visually impaired stuff. Yeah. Like, I can still fix it. I'm still doing okay. Like I can still manage. It's just a little more difficult now. But I can still do it. So sad. But I'm trying to think like of other people though that have had on if they were smartphone users. I'd say most people like, I mean, I know B Fox over here knows Suzanne, she's way good with technology. So, do we lose B Fox? I think we lost B Fox again.
Yeah, I think we lost them a little while ago.
Bummer.
I saw he messaged everyone. He said,
"Oh, you gotta go."
Yeah,
he messages. Bummer. But yeah, B Fox and I know we have another mutual friend I'm part of Achilles Connecticut. International. They provide guides for people who are disabled just like myself, and so he knows Suzanne, and Suzanne is like a year older, like probably than my mom. So she's like, I think she's like 70. Mom's like 69, gonna be 69, and yeah, she's really good with technology. So I've never seen. I don't know. So that's definitely something to look into. But I mean, I can't. Maybe people in the 80s, maybe that might be different. Or people in the late 70s, in their late 70s might be different because that's way before them. But I mean, but they have usually have grandkids and people like that get them into it. So, but yeah, that's definitely something to I'll definitely have to keep an eye on, and see if them, like, the older guests that come on and stuff like
Yeah.
that, if they have, that, kind of fighting off technology,
My mom's like a hybrid. She uses iPhone and is on the Facebook support group, but she also, doesn't use a cane or but she does like enlarged text and all that. She
So she's not
100%.
as stubborn. She's not as stubborn.
Well, she only has like less than 5 degrees vision, but won't use a
Mhm.
cane. So it's like, I got her an ID cane. So that's, step one, but I'm encouraging her to,
Well, that's
but
good.
I
Good,
agree.
yeah.
I agree, Vinny. There does seem to be like a age range, or maybe it's due to geography of where you're located. And like, if you're more rural, then you probably won't want to use the cane because you don't see it as often. Whereas if you're like in a major city, you're probably not as
Right.
surprised by it or whatever,
Yeah.
Or I think it has to be person too, because like my mom's always been like independent in terms of like she doesn't really like yeah, she relies on my stepdad, but like she's always like she wants to get out of the house. So like,
Yeah.
so she's a guide dog, or she would use her, using her cane growing up and stuff like I think it depends. I think that's what it is. I think if you're somebody who's very adamant about traveling and getting out and things like that, like I think you'll be more apt to learn that stuff and use the cane and all that stuff,
Mhm.
because it's you understand it. It's a way for
Necessitated
you
by
to
your environment, I guess, isn't it?
yeah, like my mom will
Yeah.
get like she hates being home, like and like right now even she's not using the cane as much now that she's been waiting for a dog, and she finally got paired up with my mom has a new guide dog, guys.
Hmm.
I didn't tell anybody, but yeah, she has a new guide dog I haven't met yet. But when she wasn't, I noticed that she stayed in the house still, though, because she didn't really, I don't think she really wanted to go right back. She'll still use her cane if she was going out, like with my stepdad and things like that. But I know she doesn't travel as much solely unless she feels, I think she's more comfortable having a dog for doing stuff like that. But yeah, no, I think
That makes sense, especially if she's used to using a guide dog.
years,
Yeah.
like, yeah,
It's like
20,
going, it's like
20
going
something
backwards,
years.
isn't it? If you
Yeah, trying to,
lose the
yeah,
dog.
right,
Yeah.
yep. So and my mother said, my mom's, I mean, granted that she's her own training like a long time ago for probably a cane training for that.
How many dogs has she had? She had a dog for a long
Jeez.
time. She had
Yeah,
like more
first one
than
was the longest. First one was the longest. First we had Vander for like 10 years.
Wow.
And that was like she
So
was
how
like
long has she been a
40.
guide dog user then? Like 20 years?
About my age. She was about 40. It's about 30 years.
Wow, that is a
Yeah,
long
she was
time.
to go, but yeah, to try to go back. Yeah. So like I said, we've had at least like 4 dogs. Yeah, like Vander, Grace, Rance. She's had a couple of short ones like Rance and this who's this other one she had just before Grace, she had another one. Oh, Hunter. She had him for like a couple weeks. It didn't work out. Fred, who was awesome, but we couldn't keep him because he was stupid. He was a lab, the only lab we ever had, but he was big and he was a big doof. He was just a doofus. And but he would have been the greatest house dog ever, like he was so just like chill and like such a just a lovable dog, but like that doesn't work good when you're trying to, got to keep someone safe. Like, oh, curb's coming up.
Yeah,
Curb's coming up. Okay. Watch out for that curb. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, human. Hey. Never mind. Too far away. Yeah. Oh, the car. Oh, geez, there was a car there. Yeah, never mind.
Sorry, didn't
Sorry.
say it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Do
So,
better next
but he was perfect at house because we also had Bijans, and Bijans, tend to have that little dog, but they're a big dog.
Yeah.
They think they're a big dog, but they're a little dog body.
Uh-huh. Yep.
So Corey was one of them. Corey was like that. He was like, he's the boss. And Fred's so just chill. He don't care. He's like, okay, you're the boss, man. So the two just worked great together because like he's big and new, but like Corey wasn't threatened by him because they got along really well because he didn't care about being
loving the dog sound
alpha.
effects you're managing to weave into this as well.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Great that.
Sorry.
I gotta give you the.
They hear you, Steve. They want you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just going to say,
yeah.
You know who it
I need
is.
to feed Loki.
Thanks for all those.
Sorry about that.
No, but that was to me. That was no. He was an awesome dog, but I was so bad. I was like, man, why can't we just keep him as a regular dog and just go get another guide dog? He's like, I can't
you
do
go.
that. But no, I guess you
Making
can't
noise,
do
you gotta
that.
stop making noise. You gotta stop making
So yeah, so no, like yeah, so mom, yeah, you're right. It would be probably tougher for my mom to just like go back to being like a full on cane user. Although she was thinking like she was because they were having a hard time finding her a dog until recently, obviously, and she was almost contemplating like being done, like that was it, like she wasn't gonna get another dog. So, but I don't know what it was that changed her mind, and maybe it was probably that like she still wanted to be independent. Probably she wanted to get out, and she knew that as long as she had that desire to get out, she would still want a dog. Yeah. So yep. So yeah, I think the person, you're right. I think the environment, like you said, Steve, I think it's like your environment. The kind of person, if you're a traveler, like you're gonna, or you're someone like that, you're gonna find a way to, to do that.
Yep.
So anyway, Vinny though, but your mom's always like dependent, right? With your dad, right? And stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. She won't go out of the house without him. She won't do anything.
Ever.
So, ever. So
So that's what it is.
Mom.
She's never been put in a position that she's had to, right? So
well, right. Yeah. I mean, my dad used to be a truck driver and stuff. So I mean, he wasn't home like when we were younger, but my mom wasn't
right.
bad then either. So
yeah,
when
right.
we lived more in a city than where I grew up. So I mean, she was able to walk places and stuff. But yeah, I never remember my mom using a cane, and she won't use a cane now. And right now, I mean, she's at basically lights and shadows now. She's
Wow.
That's my mom too. Yeah,
and she won't use a cane. And I thought me picking one up, like I use an ID cane now when I go to my punk rock shows, Edward.
I know all about him. I know.
I use my ID cane for that. I took it to the Indy 500 when my wife and I went. So I was hoping that me doing that, my mom would start using one, but
like almost a reverse inspiration. Almost like you would inspire your mother. Yeah.
But like she has no desire. She does not care. That's it. She can text because she has one of those old flip phones, and she can feel the buttons, so she can text that way. She knows like the old school, like three hits is an A or whatever. 3 hits is a
right. So like, she's just stuck in her ways at that point.
Yeah,
like she's tough.
How old is she, Vinny?
I have no idea.
You know who your mom is? No,
we went over this in our episode.
Oh, that's what we did. Yeah, that's right, we did. Like you don't know how old your mom is.
And he still hasn't done his homework yet.
Yeah, no, 65. I think she's 5 years younger than my dad. So we'll say 60.
Okay.
Well, you never know. You never know.
Yeah.
There's still time. Another 10 years. I've seen you getting benefit from it. Maybe you might be curious one day and might just dabble a little bit. Like
look how long it took. Ed finally did it.
Yeah,
that's right. And that was because of Steve and Mike. That's exactly why.
So it's like so you never know. Maybe at some point you finally reach. Yeah. Well, Ed. Ed, what about? You're the.
My question was going. My question was going to be a funny one, but actually, it's a really serious question. And the question is: do you consider? So, are you blind? Now, the reason why I asked that question is because when I was your age, Mike, me and you are about the same. You're 40-something years old, right?
Yeah.
Okay. When I was that, I had just got lost my license. Probably, I think I looked it up. I think I was 37, 38. Didn't drive the Mustang anymore. Yeah, Mustang. Gee, why do we get along? But and at that point, as you are, I'm thinking I could read fine print. I could read fine print up till a couple of years ago, honestly. But I'm thinking we're about the same. But back then, because I knew none of you guys, because honestly, there was no Facebook, there was no nothing, there was no cell phones. Well, actually, there was.
RTVs
they're big.
I don't even think I was born
Papers
yet.
were on stone.
I don't think I was even born yet.
All right, thanks. All right.
Central heating.
As the peanut gallery keeps going, you know what? Right now, I want to grab. Mike can grab everybody. I want to grab all you. throw you the hell out of the thing. Okay? But I've never considered myself that because, again, I was the only one that ever had this disease. And
Yeah.
like I said, before I met you guys, I was the only person that there was nobody who had it. You know, I met all these other people. Nobody ever had this thing. I didn't even know what it was. Like you guys, some of you guys had it because your parents had it, and you go, "Oh, this is what it is." I had none of that, except
Right.
for maybe an encyclopedia. Yes, that's a book. You open up a book. But other than or a pamphlet at the doctor's office, my retinal specialist. It's a pamphlet. But seriously, do you consider yourself blind?
Do I consider
You're
myself
blind.
blind? No, I always hate that
Ooh.
term. I've never,
I know.
because I just feel like, I mean, I know some people, there's a lot of people in the community that just use the term blind because that's, you know, it's just easier or whatever. Maybe
Usually when they
Or,
use
I
it,
don't
and
know.
are they depressed? Are they usually depressed? When you hear
I
that
don't
term, they usually the way they say it, it's
Yeah,
always
I'm
like a sad
blind.
story.
like now. I mean, I go with like I always go visually impaired because to me it's like my vision works. It's just a little impaired, so I'm not blind. To me, I still think if I tell somebody, I feel like if you tell someone, yo, I'm blind, unless you say legally blind.
Yeah,
Like I've heard, I know Eric has said that. My mom,
I say it
my
every
mom's
day
referred
at
to
work.
herself as legally blind.
When I take care of
Yeah,
the patients, I say legally blind. I say it all the
Blind.
time. And they go,
Yep.
"What does that mean?" I always tell them, "Okay, here, see my hands? I can't see them. You
Yeah,
know, I have
right.
3
There you
degree.
go.
I can't see them,
Yeah.
but you can, right? I can't."
Yeah, I would say that. I would say legally blind or visually impaired. But to me, blind is kind of just that's the different end of the spectrum. To me, that's blind is the end of that spectrum. It's more the end of that spectrum. You know, if vision loss is a spectrum, to me, blind is way
The
on
end.
the other end. Yeah, that's the end.
The end for
And now if you're lights and shadows, I would say to me, then I would say I'm blind.
I'm at the end.
Only because even though, yes, I can tell if somebody enters a room or, you know, objects, probably I can make things out if you were just lights and shadows. I get that, but like I would still, if I can't see someone's face, I would say I'm blind. If I can't look at you and see you, I'm blind. Even if I know you're there because there's a shadow or whatever, like I would say I'm blind. But you know, but that's like I said, that's the spectrum to me. Like, so right now I'm in that middle of that spectrum. I feel, it's like I can still see. So yeah, I would never say right now. I wouldn't say blind. I haven't reached that part of my journey yet, and I don't. And I would feel, you know what? I feel almost like it would be an insult to people who are blind. You know, like, oh, I'm one of you guys. Like, no, I'm not one of you. Sorry, I'm not part. I'm not part of your club.
Yeah, I never really saw the line on this whole thing. Blindness is a spectrum. I just can't get on board with that at all. It does seem like disrespectful to blind people. Vision loss may be a spectrum, but blindness. Imagine.
No, not blindness.
I'm
yeah,
sure a guy
right.
born with no eyes would absolutely not be impressed with people saying it's a spectrum.
No, yeah, and like to me, anybody who's blind would probably want to trade. Would trade with me.
Oh, would trade us with a heartbeat.
A heartbeat. Anybody who is blind, really blind, would be like, yeah, I'll take yours. Even if it's like you got a tunnel vision. Oh, that's cool.
The thing
I'll
is,
take it.
you and I though both have to label ourselves as blind on occasion, like literally label. Like when you're doing a run.
Yeah.
You can't put visually
impaired runner
60% way through the spectrum. See you back for further details.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah. Hi.
So you have to then say blind.
I don't see. I see this. I see.
Yeah.
I can see in front of me, but I can't see this runner.
If you can read this, I can't see you.
If you can read this, good for you.
Ed.
I can't.
What made you ask that question, Ed? That wasn't a very thought-provoking, divisive question.
I don't know. It just was the fact of I was thinking about when I was his age, honestly, and I never considered myself even. I think I hid it. I think that was the whole thing. You know, I never said anything. You know, I would just run into things or whatever. At that time, maybe I would go out to a restaurant or possibly a bar or something. Not very often, but if I did go and say I ran into somebody, you know, I just think, oh, they probably think I'm drunk. You know, but I never. Before. But I tried to keep it. You know, I never really said it. Like I said, I never used a cane until, like I said, Steve, you kind of talked me into it, you know, the whole thing. And but always talking to all of you guys.
And Ed, before disability, I would just tell people I have RP. I wouldn't even use the term, oh, I'm a little visually impaired or I'm a little this, because I was still driving, that stuff. So I
Right.
didn't
Oh,
know how
me too. I drove.
I didn't
yeah,
know
I
how people were
drove-
gonna react to that. So I would
Right.
just tell
Well,
people,
for my-
I would just see people, I have an eye disease,
Yeah, yeah, well,
I can't see at night,
Yeah, well, that's how I had to say that to my at the time I was a manager of a store, and just a manager when I got the job, and I go, right, well, I can't drive at night, and they go, why? I said, well, I have a disease called retinitis pigmentosus, and they go, what the hell is that? And I go, well, it's an eye disease, and
It's a not driving at night disease.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah. It's I can't drive a car at night.
It's I want to leave
Yeah.
at work at 4.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
and they actually, I got to give them credit. The last 2 or 3 jobs that I had, which was, I worked in a warehouse for a little bit too, 2 years. I drove a forklift. Yeah, blind guy driving a forklift. What a bad idea. But
I've done
but
it too.
but at the time I just couldn't drive at night. So I said, hey, listen, I got to get out of here, because at wintertime, here on the East Coast, winter, it's dark by 4:00, 4:15. So, and our job was from 7 to 4. So I said, hey, can I leave like 3:30 so I can make it home? I live like a half hour away. I'll come in early. And actually they were accommodating, which I think is rare. I still think it's rare that these jobs accommodate you. 7 to 3. So I worked earlier, and then when it came back, it was okay. And then for the store that I worked at, I just said, hey, listen, if I can get a ride, I'll work those nights. But in the end, they kind of just said, you know what? You don't have to work 2 nights a week. You can just work during the day. So they gave me that opportunity at the end. Yeah. But it took a while.
Awesome.
But I didn't tell them. But then also, I didn't tell them at the beginning that I had an eye disease when I got the job.
No.
Which
Hey,
is wrong.
Ed,
I
that
did it.
the job that you hooked me up with to apply for,
Yeah.
that was the first job I've ever had to put that down.
Right. Isn't that,
They-
and it's crazy, right? It's
They actually
crazy.
have that in the application. You can choose not to mention it.
Right.
but I actually came out and just said it.
No, I think it's the way. Well, they obviously Jeff knows about it. And
Yeah, so
everybody-
that's
and,
another reason I was like, I wasn't worried about it. So, but I was like,
Yeah.
I just thought it was interesting now that they actually have, they actually have that. Like, are you a person with a disability? Da, 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 da.
right,
Like,
which
they
they don't.
actually-
They never had that on any kind of
Yeah.
thing before.
It's been that long. I was like, oh man, I'm not even used to this. Oh, another
And I
thing
think
I
that's why
wanna bring
I think that's why they asked the questions. The fact of are you visually impaired? Do you consider yourself? Maybe I should have said, do you consider yourself visually impaired?
up. Yeah,
possibly?
right. Yeah.
Maybe I should have said it that way, because I'm just like I don't think I considered myself that when I
No,
was your
I didn't
age.
either. Like I said, I remember that. I remember that in my 30s and stuff. Same thing. Yeah, my early
Yeah, well,
30s, same thing.
but
I
I'm thinking right.
I never felt that way. I didn't consider. I have RP, or because my vision was mostly. I felt really good during the day. I never had
Well,
any
even that,
problems.
and even look at Vinny, even Vinny just starting it
Yeah.
really. I
Right.
mean, he's still, you're doing a little, you're still doing it. So you're at the very beginning. If you ask, throw it to you, could you consider yourself visually impaired?
Well, yeah.
I couldn't back in the day. I
Yeah,
couldn't.
I would still say visually impaired. I mean, I
Okay.
definitely wouldn't say blind by any means, but I'm still not. I still haven't crossed that threshold into legally blind yet.
Right. So you're right. You're at the very beginning.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
But no, but see what back at you mentioning, how we got you, kind of pushed you, inspired you to use a cane. I sometimes play a scenario in my head. If I had known Steve, when I was still working, would I stayed longer at my job? Because I mean, maybe I would have been like, you know what? Yeah, I'll get a cane and I'll start, working my way, and I'll just stay here, because I had the opportunity, but I didn't feel comfortable. Like, I didn't feel that they were gonna make the environment safer for me, because that was like, oh well, we'll work on trying to make the environment safer for you, and then like I had to figure out rides, to work. They said, oh, we got, they have other people that were around my area that I can get rides with, but then I'm like, I didn't want to rely on rides. But I was like,
and that's what Eric did too, right? Eric, for a while, that's what you had to do.
I didn't want. I was like, I was so apprehensive about like that. I was like, I don't want to, because what if like someone goes, I'm not going to work today. It's like, well, no, great, no, I can't go to work today.
yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know you weren't going to work today. Okay, well now I gotta find someone else to give me a ride, or I didn't want that headache. So, but I sometimes
I
and
didn't know
because
you play that scenario in your head. That's really
oh, I do a lot.
interesting.
I do
And
that a
I
lot.
take that as a compliment. That means
I
I
do.
have inspired you in some way,
Oh yeah, I think about it. I'm
not
like,
just
if I
perpetually
had
bullied
thought,
you every Wednesday for the last 3 years.
yeah, no, no, totally, because I totally always play a lot in my head. And like, I'm like, oh man, what if I known Steve and realized like that, hey, maybe I could just get a because I mean I was using a cane 6 months later, after I left my work, so it wasn't like something that far off anyway. And I think also maybe because I was there so long at that job, I don't think I wanted people to see me that way
Yeah,
in the
there you
beginning.
go.
Yeah.
Yep, yep, there you go.
You know,
Also for me.
these are people.
Now
A lot of people a lot of people knew. Like, yes, there are people in my department who knew I had that eye disease,
Yep.
so I wasn't worried about that. And I was
I can
already
relate.
increasing. My cursor was bigger, so I was already starting to do little changes. But yeah, I don't know. I think I didn't want. I did visit afterwards, and what's funny, I did come in to visit like 6 months later with my cane. I came in like another 6 months later after that because I when I ran the New York City Marathon, got my medal engraved. I'd go there to get my medal engraved, and I did that like every time I ran New York. I would go there because we did medal engraving. We did engraving, so I got it done for free. So I'd come in, stop in, visit my my peeps, and I have no and that was not. At that point, I was more comfortable. I don't know if I just, once I started using the cane, I took that Band-Aid off and I just got used to it. And then going there, it didn't bother me as much, maybe to visit them and like, hey, you guys, because when I left, they knew. That's when everybody found out. Like when I left, that's when everybody knew, that was going blind.
But you don't mind then because you're not there to feel
Maybe
awkward,
that,
are you?
yeah,
Because
maybe because I wasn't there
yeah.
for the every day and kind of just get used. Because, like I said, I remember people that I didn't like there were all of a sudden really nice to me when my last day of work. They're like, oh, I didn't know that's why you the way you were. It's like because I realized I was short with people sometimes, and I think I was because RP it was almost anxiety.
Yeah.
And these people were coming over to like from the factory. I remember for like to fix things, and like they would hand them to me, and it took me a moment, like I think to like maybe it was maybe they were in a bad spot and I didn't realize. And this happened a lot. And I think I gave people not so much attitude or anything, but like I think I just got a little more abrasive sometimes. So I think that
You're
when
probably
she
so
found
wound
out,
up and trying to manage
kind
anxiety
of
around the
right,
social
yeah.
interactions and eye
Yes, right. Maybe
contact
that's what it
and
was, and I didn't realize, right? So yeah, so when she found out this, one of was I couldn't even stand her though, and she was like so nice to me. Oh, I now I understand why you're there. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I didn't want that. That's the stuff I did not want. I didn't want
the crazy thing is that if that happened to you
emails.
now,
Yeah.
it's a different world now, isn't it? Because now you've got like homeworking options and that
Oh
wasn't really
no,
a
yeah.
thing 7 years ago,
Well,
was it? Whereas now,
yeah, and
thanks to
that's the
COVID,
ironic thing. I was told because that was the first thing I was going to do. I talked to IT. I actually talked to the IT department before I even talked to my boss, and I was like, because I was good friends with all the people, and I'm like, yo, can you set me up at home? And they're like, I'm like, oh yeah, we can definitely set you up at home. I'm like, okay, cool. So I mean, I talked to I sent the email out. That's how I said, boom, send an email, say, hey, as of this day, I'm done driving, and I would like to work from home, or or we need to figure something out if that's not an option, because I'm not gonna be driving anymore. So my boss, and then I talked to HR, and it just came down to, well, you can't work from home, because if you could work from home, then we could just outsource your job. I was like, okay. So granted, this is a company that says we're family, we're all family here. It's like, clearly not.
so many companies used to say that until COVID happened, and it's like, oh, now you can all work from home.
So it's funny because so then it came down to, well, we can let you go so that you can collect, unemployment. I was like, or we can try to make the work environment safer, and stuff like that. And we'll, maybe we can get you connected with some people, that could give you rides in. And I'm like, all right. So I had to think about it. And my wife's like, oh, she felt like even more disrespected than me. She's like, that's what they said to you? Like, they wouldn't even let you like work from home. Like, she's like, no, like, you leave. She's like, she's like, no, that's, she's like, that's, they don't deserve it. Yeah. Like, yeah, don't even worry. I was like, okay. Cause I was like, oh, I could just, I'll become a stay-at-home dad. I was like, it's gonna be cheaper anyway, because, daycare is like, like almost $1,000 or so. Like, so now I can just stay at home. And so at that point, it was really just worked out perfectly anyway, in terms of finances and everything. And it was actually, I made out better actually working from home than I did actually staying. But I always wonder, I do definitely wonder though, if I stayed. I always play another scenario. I always play is the especially since like meeting Vinny, it's because Vinny's vision is similar to mine, and he's still driving. And I'm like, what if I pushed it a little bit longer, but like just kind of like did what I did with smoking and reduced it, reduced it, kind of like what you're doing also now, Vinny. Like, if we didn't move to Naugatuck, and if we stay, because it was only a 3-minute drive for me to get to work, I probably would have driven at least another 2 or 3 years, at least. If
Wow.
easy, yeah, because it was an easy drive like that I could do in my sleep. So I think what I would have done, I probably would have reduced my long drives. Like, I probably wouldn't have driven as much to my parents' house, and I just would have probably done just kind of what Vinny's doing now, and just do just the work.
Would you have got a
and-
smaller and smaller car?
to
So it was
work.
easier to stay
Yeah, I
home
guess.
and
Yeah,
work?
yeah. Reduce the car.
So you're like
I got a little
Donkey
smart
Kong.
car.
Yeah,
Got a little,
yeah.
yeah. Dude, I remember like my last few years of work, I was literally pushing my Datsun to work because it broke down. That's how close I was. I could literally just push it, and then I could get it onto a hill and I'd push it downhill. So it was an adventure. My last 2 years of driving or so. But yeah, no, I think if things were different, like, yeah, if we didn't move, because that's what definitely shifted things. Because it wasn't until we moved to Naugatuck, that was when a little after that I was like, oh, like I was having a little more issues in terms of like driving, like during the things happening. And I was like, I can't continue to get lucky like this, so I need to, not do this. So I think after talking to Vinny, I'm like, I could have just not done the longer drives and just done the ones I needed to do, or, like I could have been like, hey, I'll still drive, but I'm not going to drive to work anymore. And, figure that out and just figure out, maybe take offers on those drives. And in the situation where maybe I need to get to work and no one's around, then drive, like just kind of really get to the point where I just slowly really reduce that down, and it's to a point where, yeah, I just say I can't drive anymore. And then maybe I make it to 40. But yeah, no, ever since meeting you guys, I've always played different scenarios. I mean, and I'm sure I don't know about you. Do you guys ever, that's a question I throw all the rest of you guys before we go. You ever play different scenarios in your head now that you've met other people with RP and see how they've all like,
Just touching on that whole
going on.
driving situation thing, for me, it's kind of like, obviously, I feel I've still got quite a decent amount of vision still going. I think my RP is a bit more slowly progressing. It's sort of, I've had it my whole life. And I think 20 years ago when I was 17, like they told me I wasn't allowed to drive. So hearing stories of people that were able to drive and have their eyesight is now worse than what mine is, it's kind of, it's kind of a weird scenario for me to sort of always been told you're not allowed to drive.
Kind of,
My mum used to drive, but
does that kind of make you angry, Ryan? Do you feel like you
a little? It did used to a lot, because obviously it was something that restricted my independence and it stopped me going out and getting other jobs and stuff that I really wanted to go for. I ended up staying working in just a supermarket, like a retail store for 17 years I was 16 years going on there, because I didn't want, I couldn't find other jobs in my local town because it was all just warehouses and stuff. And again, you can't walk around warehouses with tunnel vision.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of them, but
your vision. I remember your vision is definitely very similar to mine in my early 30s and stuff like that. Because you have the accidents that you have are very similar to like the accidents I was starting to have when I was still driving. Because I remember like going to bend down and shoving a car door through my head, because I didn't realize I had left my car door open, So but little things like that. But yeah. So this that. But who told you? Like, I don't understand, like, because you guys are both same, same country, but like Steve, you drove.
My eyes were, well, I started driving at 16, instead of motorbike. In the UK, you can drive up to a 50cc motorbike when you're 16, and then you can't learn to drive a car until you're 17. So you can't even apply for a car license till you're 17, and then you can go in for your test. So when I had a motorbike first, and then I took my test. And then only when I'd passed my test and had my license, it was then when I got diagnosed. So I already had my license by the time I got diagnosed with RP. So when I took my test, I genuinely did not know I even had anything wrong with my eye. I mean, I knew. The funny thing is for me though, Mike, is I had bad vision anyway, like not outside of RP, my acuity, I wore glasses, I had astigmatism. So I had to wear glasses for driving, and to do the eyesight test in the UK, first thing you do when you sit in the car is an eyesight test. They don't even let you drive out of the learning center until you can read the stuff that they've put. There's like a registration plate on the wall at the far side, measured to the legal distance. So I had to have my glasses on to read that. And then, I went off, I did all my driving, did my test, passed it, all the rest of it. And I did all that before I'd even ever heard the words retinitis pigmentosa.
Oh,
So that's the difference between me and Ryan.
Because there was obviously
So
a
funny.
family history with mine. I was going for like a yearly checkup it was a thing, and it's like part of the driving tests. So actually I think they referred me to the DVLA to make sure. I think there was like a legal limit of you weren't allowed 25% incurrence in your vision, and I was told I was on about 27, so I was over the legal limit for what it was that you were allowed.
Like you didn't get to sit in a car and like at least try to like see if you can.
I did to start with. Like they originally gave me like a year's provisional license, so I started doing driving lessons for a year and spent all this money.
Oh, that's right, but you
to be told at the end of it, when I was applying for the actual full test, they wanted me to go for an eye test again, even though I had a yearly checkup and all the evidence from before. But it turned out I was just below the level, or just like I was over the level for what they were.
That's crazy. I mean, even for me, like, it was when I stopped driving, I was going to the specialist. I started going to a specialist 34. I was 34 years old, 2015. I went. Wow. And they literally, the only thing they said to me was, "Are you driving?" I said yes. And they asked me, and I said, "Yeah, but they go, no, are you driving at night?" And I said, "No." I said, at that point, I was starting to, reduce that. And they said, "Okay, that's good." And that's about it. Like, no. And then I went in 2016. I mean, I've always had eye checkups, but no one, even when I'd stopped driving myself, they've never actually said to me, "Oh, you're still driving? Like, you shouldn't be driving." Like, no one's ever said that. So that's the other reason why I've always thought to myself,
Same for me, actually.
I could have kept driving because no one really ever told me.
Yeah, nobody stopped me. It was me that stopped. Nobody.
Right.
I could technically still be getting away with it, and obviously unless I had a crash, then.
Yeah. Right. I still have a legal license, so yeah.
I was actually told by my because I would go to the ophthalmologist, even though he just does my glasses. He was the guy that had to sign me up, and I could still drive. He would always check my eyes, and he would be the one. Yeah. Well, I didn't go to the DMV. I went a different route. I went to the ophthalmologist and he had to sign a paper every 2 years. And my license came up every 2 years back in the day, and so every 2 years I had to go. And then every 2 years,
Ed, he was signing that to say you're fit to drive or safe to drive.
Yes, fit to drive, daytime driving only.
Yeah, what was that? That blue card or something they fill out?
Yeah, I forgot what it was at the time. Yeah, but he would have to fill it out and say I could still drive, and then I would send that in with my license, and I'd get my license. And
was this when is this when you used to fake the machine out?
Oh,
because you can hear the field, because you get the old
the field of vision test. Yes,
the old field of vision test.
Yeah, the field of vision test. Yes, at the end, I knew it was getting close, and so I was like, oh, and I would do the field of vision test, and I actually could, I kind of get used to how the machine operates, and that little light would go around, and I could actually tell you when the light was going to come on.
Hear the sound of it moving, can't you? Like,
so terribly, yes, I did that. But
Were
I
you
think
looking
I
around
think
like
he knew.
this?
I think he knew about it. I think he knew better than what I think I was thinking it. I think he knew better than I did. Because he told me, and I always remember him telling me, he goes, "Yeah, you know what? I can't sign it this time. You're done." And I was like,
Oh,
Oh.
that's it. Oh, wow.
"Yeah." That's how I was told. You're done. I said, "Okay." My license went till September, my birthday. It goes a month after my birthday, so it was October, beginning of October, and I said, "Okay." So I told the job in September. Which, by the way, thinking about jobs, my last job, a lot of those other managers didn't believe that I was. They really thought I would. They didn't believe it. They didn't believe that I was legally blind because
Wow.
they would throw keys at me. Hey, catch the keys. I miss it. They go,
Look at that.
"Oh, come on, you saw that." I go, "No, I didn't." I swear that I don't think some of them didn't really believe it until I finally had to walk in and say, "This is my last day." By the way, that's the only time I've ever. I think, as Mike knows, I'm not a person that gets depressed about this shit. Very, very. Oops,
No, right. Right.
on here. But that was the only time when I had to tell the big boss, who I really didn't like, that I was leaving because I'm going, basically I'm going blind, and I told him
Right.
that. And that's the only time. It's probably the only time I broke down.
Oh.
Which still pissed me
Okay.
off because I didn't want to, especially in front of him.
Of
But
Of all the people.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, and then the last day before I had to give up my license, I drove up to where I am. I drove about 100 miles from my sister's house up past Albany. I drove up there with my stepson. We went up there, blasted the music all the way up, had the Mustang out, and I drove up to see her. Just talked to her for a little bit and said, "All right, going back home. Gotta get home before it gets dark. It's October. It's getting dark by 6 o'clock." And I drove back home. And I always remember driving back home and coming on the thing, and somebody pulled out in front of me. And I saw it, but my stepson saw it before I did. And there's a car. And I saw it, and I said, "Oh, you know what? I think that's a sign right there. It's obviously time." And then I parked the car. I may have drove a couple more times up the road, just because I wanted to. But until I sold the car.
I think, like I said, I still move the cars around. I still, if I need to move my wife's car, I'll still go, move it out of the way. Because, granted, they have the technology in that car is like, I can see behind me. It's got all the sensors.
Hey, pretty soon we're going to be coming to your house. We're going to be coming to Mike's house or Vinny's house. Me and Eric are going to be coming because we're going to be driving self-driving cars.
That's right. That's right. That's gonna be wild. That'll be wild. Be like, "Hey, Eric and I, we're coming. We're on our way." Eric's picking me up in his self-driving car. That'd be sick.
Coming. It's definitely coming. People used to think that was a pipe dream, but man, there's too many companies working on it now.
I'm telling you.
Coming. Yeah, it's coming.
We're coming.
Do you know, I've got a prophecy on this. I said this to Anna about 5 years ago. I said to Anna, the self-driving cars will rapidly take off, like pretty soon now after Tesla broke the mold. And do you know how I see this panning out? Once they are mainstream, I see cars going to be a subscription service. I can't see in the future that people will own a car and have it sat on your drive or outside your place of work for 8 or 9 hours at a time, when you've got the ability to send that car home or send it wherever you need to send it. Or because if it can drive itself, you don't need to be in it, do you? So why would you have a vehicle sat doing absolutely nothing for 8 hours outside work and then 16 hours outside your house? So I just think they will come available, and one day people like us, or maybe a lot younger than us, they'll just be paying a subscription. If you pay a small subscription, small crappy car, and you just have that type of car will be what you can just call up on your app, and it'll just be coming to you, and then you'll just be like flying around in that. And if you're loaded, it'll be some kind of fancy car that's on your subscription, and your car will just come and pick you up from wherever you are. I just see it going that way. It just like Eric said, that seemed like a pipe dream, didn't it? That's what I've just said would have sounded unbelievable 5 years ago, but now you think,
now you're like, oh yeah,
I can see that in the next 20 years.
It's almost like an upgraded version to an Uber, isn't it? Because Uber's kind of going on sort of that territory of just ringing a phone and just ringing a car, just pick you up and stuff.
So you just have your own. It would be like, it'd be almost your own dedicated Uber, but not like Uber prices.
You guys will relate to this, especially especially probably Vinny, Ed, and mine. It's like back in the day when I had cars and all my friends had cars, everyone had what we called old bangers. I can't remember what your word is for them. You call them
Oh yeah, like a jalopy or a
Jalopy,
beater,
yeah,
a
like,
beater,
you know,
Hitbox.
Beater.
a beater ship box, yeah, ship box
Yeah.
beater, yeah.
Rust bucket.
and like,
Rust
but you
bucket.
know
POS.
now,
POS.
and every single friend of mine, all the cars were like that. But now I speak to the young guys in work. You know, we've got staff in our place now that are like 18, 19, and their first cars are brand spanking new Mercedes and BMWs, and they
Damn.
have them all on leases. So they just pay all the
Right,
youngsters in
right.
work now. They pay like $300 a month out of their salary, and they essentially have a long-term rental plan for like a
Yeah,
you know
right.
brand spanking new fancy car. And I'm like, wow, when I was that age earning your salary, my car cost me like £85 like to buy, and you're paying £300 a month to rent one, and that's the young people of today. It's just a total different world,
The
isn't it?
logic is logic is different, yeah. But it's like I said, if you don't like to, I'm a car guy. I don't know. I would want to still own the car. A part of me would still want to have my own electric, like my own self-driving car in my. I would like to have my own self-driving car in the driveway for some reason. That's why I mean, I'd like that. I would like to. I mean, the servicing, I would do that too. But I like the whole like washing it and taking care of it, and there's other things that come,
Yeah,
come with it,
get that.
sure,
Yeah,
you get that, like having a bike, when you had your bike or whatever, it's like,
yeah.
like having that out there, even though it's not doing anything, or maybe only drive it for a little bit, but yeah, I think there's that, we as guys, I mean, and women too.
It'd be like,
if you're-
Knight Rider, you'd just be saying to you'd have a brand spanking new Mustang on your drive, and you'd be like, go and pick Kelly up from work, and the car would just off it would go, and come back with Evan from school or whatever.
That'd be the craziest thing. That'd be
That's
actually even
that's the
crazier.
way it's gonna go. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that'd be so crazy. Just be like, yeah, go pick up Evan. Okay. Just like watching the car leave, and you're like, oh, okay. It's doing its thing.
Take yourself to the car wash. Take yourself to the car wash.
Yeah.
Take
Take yourself to the car wash. Yeah.
Treat yourself. It's Christmas.
Yeah. Go treat yourself.
Treat yourself. Spa
Yeah,
day. Go on.
Yeah.
Go on a spa break.
You've been working real hard, so you get the day off today.
Go to the car spa.
Go to the car spa. Yeah. Oh, are you cold out there? I'll go get you a cover.
Get your car cover.
Oh, your car texts you. Yeah. Hi. How's it going?
I'm cold. I'm cold.
I'm cold. It's gonna rain. Can you bring me inside?
Can I go in the garage?
Yeah.
Hey, is this episode going to be a box set, or is this going out
That's
in one
right.
chunk?
It's gonna be a
It's gonna be
box
one
set.
giant episode, baby. I can really milk it and have it be the 100th episode, part 1, 100th episode, part 2, 100th
Part
episode.
2, part 3.
Now,
Part
what
four
are you
will be
waiting
Vinny.
for?
Part 4 will
The
be
final
Vinny just
episode.
playing punk rock music. That'll be part 4.
Yep. I think we can wrap it up, guys. But thank you so much for all being on, and of course, I talk to you guys every day. So it's not like most guests where I can be like, oh, I'll see you when I see you. Yeah.
Hey, before you do end it, Mike, I would just like to say on behalf of all of us, thank you very much for bringing us all together.
Yeah.
For doing
Yeah, there you
all
go.
you've
Thank you.
done for the community, the podcast. None of this would have happened really if you hadn't have done that. And
I appreciate
it's
it.
been really, really good. And I am very grateful and appreciate everything
Well,
you've done.
I am grateful for all you guys, and
Yeah,
I
thanks,
appreciate
Mike.
just being on and taking the
Thank
time out and
you.
actually doing all this stuff. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. Like I said, we're all meant to be in each other's lives for a reason, and I'm happy to be part of your guys' lives.
I think we'll never
Even
change.
if we do have to be friends with Vinny, it's still.
Yeah.
Well, the cross we got the better.
Fuck you.
Hey, no swearing, no swearing.
or help out the elderly. Ed,
Okay. I'm with Vinny now. Me and Vinny are gonna. You know what? Me and Vinny are gonna start our own podcast.
No, I don't.
We don't
I don't
have
team
any-
up with anybody from New York.
Oh,
That hurts. That hurts. That hurts.
You guys can start your own grumpy old men kind of podcast,
Grumpy
like,
old
you
men.
know, like the
Grumpy
Sesame
old
Street
men.
characters, like the two
Oh,
old guys on
right.
those. It's just you guys
Right.
two complaining to each other.
Statler and Waldorf.
Yeah,
I
the
like
Bruins
that.
suck.
I
Your
like
team
that.
sucks.
Right.
Go Rangers. Go Bruins.
Bruins, Rangers, Bruins, Rangers.
Oh yeah, so yeah, no, that's been awesome. It's been a fun journey, and definitely look forward to seeing what. I guess she's the next. Was it almost 4 years? Doing the podcast and see what happens. In the next 4 years.
We'll come back for the 200th episode.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep,
Yeah.
200
4
episode.
hours. I reckon we do that 4 hours. That
Yeah,
one.
so we're gonna have to, because by that point, we'll have all these fake chairs
all these
filled.
seats. All this will be filled.
So I'll tell you, you guys get bumped to the head of the class. You have to be in the front row.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, according to Zoom, what does this guy here? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, so 25. You could do
25.
25 people on here. So we got room. We got 17 more people that we could have gotten. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
We'll see what
that'd
happens.
be a whole day. That'd be the whole day podcast.
Yeah. It's just a yeah. You guys
Go
want
Rogan, eat
to
your heart out. We're gonna go all day.
We'll have to do
Yeah.
a live stream. Yeah, we'll have to do
Yes.
that. Yeah. That's- yeah.
Guys, go get yourself a roast going or something, or put
Yeah.
on some coffee, because this one's gonna be a long one.
That would be cool to do a live feed one.
Oh yeah, no, definitely in the future. Like I said, once we're on the podcast gets moved to YouTube and we start doing like with the RP show, yeah, definitely. That would be really cool to do something like that.
I'm not
But-
coming on with Vinny though, because Vinny doesn't like me.
Nah. I still like you guys until football season.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, you have no idea. Yeah.
Lance is just laid back. He don't care about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lance doesn't
He,
care.
Lance always loves everybody.
Yeah.
Is it me
He's
or does
chilling,
Lance's
dude.
hair look a lot more blonde at the moment? Have you dyed your hair?
It's summer. It's summers, right? So you get that
Summer.
summer hair. Is
It
that
looks-
summer hair?
Yeah, it looks bright.
I don't
yeah.
reveal my secrets.
Throw a
Oh,
little
here
bit
we
of
go.
lemon juice in there.
Hey, I thought you were
But
coming.
I
I
will,
thought
I
you
will
were
give, I will give a clue. My wife is a hair colorist, so
I didn't know Blue Chew could have that effect on your hair.
Yeah, right.
Very interesting.
oh yeah, it's when you
makes you go blind and it makes you
Yeah.
blind.
blind and
the
blonde.
blood loss changes the colors.
Yeah.
This episode is not sponsored by Blue Chew.
No, I don't think that's a good sponsor for it.
No. Kills your vision and but
Yeah.
brings you joy.
Just whatever
Roll the
your
dice.
priority is.
Roll the dice.
yeah, right. Yeah. Do you want to get laid or do you want to walk into
Right,
I want
right.
to walk into Cohen's and stuff. Yeah. Well, I'll see you guys when I see you. No. I'll see you at RP Fest, guys.
RP Fest. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we got to talk about it. Oh, yeah, I forgot about it.
a little more than a month away. So yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's right.
and those of you listening will be, you're gonna
Yeah, we-
actually by the time you guys listen to
No,
this
that's not.
and
that's
finish
not
listening to
how it
this, it will be RP Fest.
Yeah.
We'll have an episode of that too.
We will on the RP show. So be on the lookout for that, guys. Thank you, every single one of you guys are on. Shout out to Ben Fox, who is
He left
not
us.
here with us right now.
Yeah.
He's no longer with us.
Thanks, he's no longer with us. I know, but thanks, B Fox. But thank you, everybody. And yeah, you guys will keep me going. And I'll keep going as long as people want me to keep going.
Yep.
Right. So enjoy the rest of your evenings, or for you UK fellas.
Go to bed.
Oh yeah.
Good
Go
night.
to bed.
Go to bed. You got work in the morning.
Yeah, work on that, yeah.
Oh, that's
Got to be
right.
up in 7.5 hours.
But thank you so much, everybody. So it's been a blast, and I'll see you later. And have a good one.
Bye,
You
guys.
too,
Yeah,
Mike. Thanks,
fellas.
man.
Bye.
Enjoy the rest
You're
of your
welcome.
weekend.
Bye,
Later.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.